it was old Beethoven who cut his ear off, wasn't it?
Eh? No, it was Van Gogh.
Now, the thing is, because I'm smart than the average bear, I've been driving around the countryside looking at farms.
Yeah.
I mean, I have feelings. Have you? Know. Yeah.
I've never seen them.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, there you go. Right, OK, well, on that note. OK.
This is Talk Sport. I'm Mike Graham. He is Mike Parry. It's time to say a very, very good morning to the two halves of the two Mikes. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Very good morning, Mike. That didn't make absolute sense.
Did you not think so?
No, a very good time to say good morning to the two halves of the two Mikes. Are you going to say good morning to yourself?
Well, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, OK. Well, why don't you do that then?
Well, I've sort of done. I was hoping you would say good morning to me.
I see, yeah, OK.
And then we sort of say good morning to each other.
I see, OK,
I mean?
yeah, like sort of common courtesy manners,
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Thing. Yeah. Because we had a bit of what can only be described as a sketchy, sort of irritable week last week.
Did we?
I think so,
Do you think so?
I think we're a bit irritable with each other, because I know why. I think we're spending too much time with each other.
No, I think
I was after 2 weeks of working 5 days a week and then going to Cardiff and you being ill and me not being very sympathetic. I think it was just one of those kind of periods like you get in every marriage. Not that I'm suggesting it's anything like a marriage.
Exactly.
Because you wouldn't know about that, having never been married.
No, of course
but,
not.
you know, you get on each other's nerves once in a while.
I certainly wouldn't want to be married to you, even if I
well, don't worry, there's no chance of that ever happening.
I think what happened was, it suddenly dawned on me, after a lot of years of working together, how bone idle you are. and that started to irritate me.
Bone idle?
Yeah, bone idle.
How could dare you describe it as bone idle?
No, I would.
My life is full of many responsibilities, as I've often told you.
You know,
how dare, just because I don't appear on the radio every 5 minutes like you do.
What happens on days after, we go to a live show, I'm up and away and back in London by midday.
Yeah.
You don't even get up till midday.
That's not true.
It is true.
That is not true.
No, it is
I was having
true.
breakfast in the Holiday Inn. Have you still got that stuff you're sniffing?
Yeah, eucalyptus, yeah.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, the studio will smell of eucalyptus, but it's very, very good for my
people have already started tweeting,
breathing.
and I hope Paulie's not going to kekeep banging on about his man flu for the rest of the show.
No.
That one's from Ian.
No.
Various other people have said...
I don't mind if you put the fire on, actually, if you want a bit of...
fire?
a bit of...
The fire?
Well, if you want to
There's
raise...
no fire in here.
What's been doing us in,
fire.
and I'm certain of this now, is the very oppressive air conditioning in this studio. No, I'm serious.
Oppressive.
I
was told by people who listened to your 4-hour marathon on Clash of the Titans on Saturday that you didn't cough once.
Well, I tried not to.
Was it in this studio?
It was in the studio.
So it's the same air conditioning?
No, because I asked them to switch the air conditioning off, and they were happy to do so.
Well, we haven't got it here either.
Right, good, that's good. That seemed to work, and everybody's happy to accord with me.
A lot of people I had to put off from accusing you of just, putting it on.
Yeah, well,
you did a podcast down in Brazil. You've been on the breakfast show doing the paper review.
Yes.
You did the Clash of the Titans.
That's right.
You got some other. You were on some other show. None of those other shows did you moan about being sick.
Had to go and do some voiceovers and that kind of stuff, in an advertising studio.
You're going to drive yourself into an early grave.
No. It's all to keep fluid and to keep busy. Now,
and just to go back to your outrageous accusation of me being bone idle.
You're bone idle. Yeah.
I'm the person that goes back to the venue the next day to pick up all the stuff, our merchandising stuff that we carry around with us, that we take from one place to the other.
You
around
also
the country.
pocket the money from the sales the night before.
Not true.
I haven't seen a penny of it.
What do you mean?
I haven't seen a penny of it.
What do you mean? You haven't seen a penny
hundreds of pounds have disappeared in these in these merchandise sales.
Rubbish.
And they seem
calumny.
They seem
that
to
is a complete calumny.
They seem to disappear into expensive restaurants.
You do have to pay people. You have to pay people to sell the stuff.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah. Some of these things are free lunch. Anyway. I was up at around about sort of 9:30, 9:45 for breakfast.
That's a miracle. You probably never went to bed.
I then I went to bed at 2 o'clock.
Oh, God.
I mean, you go home early because you don't like socialising with people.
No, that's not true.
Fine. That's okay.
Not true.
I don't mind that.
I think you'll find I got a very good response from the people of Cardiff for my stoicism in staying there when I was clearly very, very ill.
Do you mean stoicism?
Yes, that's what I said.
You said stoicism.
Stoicism.
Stoicism. I presume that's for people who are fans of Stow on the Wold.
That's right, Stow on the Wold, yeah.
Anyway, I then drove the executive producer and my beautiful daughter back to London, dropping them each at the different locations.
Yeah, but you
see... it's all very well when you live on your own and all you have to care about is yourself. And you get up early and you get on a train and you go back to your little hovel in, Stockbroker Belt.
Not a hovel, mate, believe me.
I've been there, it is a hovel.
No,
and why have you got drug dealers with, metal...
I've got a white gate which is covered in beautiful... metallic flowers.
Yeah.
Metallic
flowers.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, you can just imagine.
Bourgeois
nastiness. Anyway, so I just wanted to answer your accusation. I don't want to bore people with what we do after we do live shows.
No.
Our next live show goes at Dingwalls on Friday. It's Friday the 10th of June.
Friday the 10th of June. Now, the other thing I was going to suggest to all these great people listen to us is, now that football season's over, or as good as, we've got the United game tomorrow.
Well, the season's not over. We've got the Euros to come. We've got the Champions League to come.
Yeah, the domestic season. What I'm saying is, now is your opportunity to download yourself.
Download yourself. Good idea.
Download yourself a DVD of the two mics, because that is a bit of fun viewing for... Well, how long is it? About 90 minutes?
It's about 85, I think.
About 85, 90 minutes.
Including the credits.
To keep you cold on these warm summer nights, if you see what I mean. Give you the flavour of the winter.
And how was your weekend, aside from all the work that you were doing?
Fine. I should have tweeted out a picture yesterday of the fantastic restaurant I went to on Sunday with some of the family. It was called the Rubbing House. What's your problem?
The Rubbing House?
The Rubbing House.
Are you joking?
No.
Are you sure that's a restaurant?
You are a complete idiot. Don't you know what a rubbing house is?
I know. Well, it's where you do brass rubbings, isn't it?
No, it's where you rub the horses down. It's right on the edge of Epsom Downs.
No, I had no idea.
And it's on the far side of the race course.
I don't know much about rubbing horses down.
And the rubbing house is where you rub the horses down. It's an old rubbing house turned into a restaurant. It's very nice, actually. It was a marvellous establishment.
Do they sell horse meat?
No, they don't sell horse meat, no.
You sure?
No. And that combined for Sunday. But of course, on Saturday I was doing a Clash of the Titans with the chaps.
How did that go?
Oh, very well indeed. Martin Lipton of the Mirror, who I see is billed to appear at some stage on the Breakfast Show tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Gave me a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
So I had to slap him down a bit.
Well, I'll tell you what you did. Is not so much slap him down as make what can, under normal English law, be described as a threat. Have a listen to this.
Oh, yeah? The other issue, which may sound ridiculous, is that Jose Mourinho does not go to Manchester United, then I would like Mr. Mashiri, with his billions of pounds...
No, it does sound ridiculous. Let him finish the sentence at least.
Yeah, Martin, you can laugh as much as you like, mate.
Oh,
but
no, I often do.
Yeah, you often do, yeah. And sometimes I feel like coming over there and punching your face in because of your, because of your smug, I know everything attitude, which gets on my nerves, right?
Excellent.
So what I'm saying...
This is why you only sacked me once.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah, well, I'm not averse to picking up the phone to the bosses at Talk Sport, okay?
Shocking behaviour, that.
Why?
Threatening him with violence.
Well, sneering and, trying to make out that every idea I came up with was dismissively inappropriate. I mean, Jose's playing some sort of game at the moment, doesn't he? On the back of tomorrow morning's papers, Jose PSG talks. Who do you think's given them that headline? Oh, it couldn't possibly be Jose's agent, could it? Mr. Jorge Mendes, who's now trying to ratchet up even further the idea that Jose is in great demand somewhere else. It's a strange old one.
He gave an odd interview, did he not? I think I'm right in saying it was over was it not over in FIFA, in the Mexico meeting they're having, where Jose was apparently meeting various people.
You're talking about Jose giving an interview?
Yeah, I thought...
Well, the only interview I've ever seen him say is, I will be working again in the summer.
I thought he was more specific in this one. He said, I will be working in July.
In July, that's right, yeah, absolutely.
Which it seems very specific and would seem to suggest that he's got something on, in writing, on the table or whatever.
Well, who knows, nobody knows.
No.
So anyway, look...
So we've got a lot to talk about, because we've got to talk about
the England squad.
The fiasco at Manchester United.
Well, the fiasco at Manchester United.
We've got a security expert coming up a little bit later on the show.
Can you believe that we've seen coaches driving around in Leicester today with the word champions written down the side?
Yeah, I know.
Which is indicative and illustrative of the local team, Leicester City. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's incredible, yeah.
Unbelievable.
I read a tweet. I saw a tweet today as well that said, this time last year, Chelsea won the league and beat Leicester by a total of something like 36 points.
Yes, that's right.
This time around, a year later, the situation is reversed and Leicester beat Chelsea by something like 31 points.
Yeah, something like that. And 10 points clear at the top to win the Premier League. Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant, yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Just as well you were so much behind Claudio Ranieri in the team, which I understand was pointed out to you on Clash of the Titans, that I'd actually been one of the
I very graciously...
one of the sole voices. Well, Ian Danter actually texted me over the weekend to say that he was the one that said that he had... that I'd been the sole voice for Leicester over the course of the year.
And I actually endorsed that and said, yes, I said it was your one lucky punt of the season.
Really?
That you're just trying to be a bit outrageous and say something that make people talk.
Really?
And
I don't do that.
And miraculously, it sort of came true, But anyway, there we are.
Well, thank you very much. I'll take that as much of an endorsement from you as I've ever had.
Okay, and I think we'll talk about the England squad next. I've got a few things to say,
I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
I've got a few things to say to you as well.
Yeah.
Luckily.
Yeah, I've got a few things to say to you, pal, which don't relate to the England squad either, okay?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you threaten to punch me in the face, I'll be over there with my foot on your throat.
Oh, right.
This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. We are going to talk about Roy Hodgson's selection for his initial 26 squad members. A couple of surprises, a couple of people not happy about it. Let's have a listen to what Mr. Hodgson has to say about Marcus Rashford.
I think he deserves to be selected, certainly in this larger squad. And it will be very interesting to see what he can do. There's no reason, if he does exceptionally well, why he couldn't knock someone off their perch. But I must make it clear that will be harder than some people would expect, because people who've played over the last 2 years and have done a very good job for us in helping us to qualify, they're not going to be easy to knock off their perch.
See, he suggests that there are people on perches, right? Well, which I think is the first mistake.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And also, he's virtually written off Rashford's chances of making the final cut. Okay, so why get the kid in the first place and build up his enthusiasm? Yeah. He's got a cup final to play between now and the final selection date.
Which he could be kind of distracted about now.
Yeah. But I mean, if he's star of the cup final, you're going to leave him out of the England squad. I think to have a kid like that at 18 in the England squad is a brilliant thing, and will pep up the whole of the squad. All the older players will look to the kid with the energy.
He's the first England player to be called up who was born after 96.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
so he wasn't even alive
very good point.
When Euro 96 was on.
And what I was going to say is for Hodgson then to say, oh well, he's got an enormous task ahead of him to try and displace some of the more senior players like Wayne Rooney. I think it's shocking. And why put him in and then talk him down? You should put him in and talk him up and say, well, it's a wonderful opportunity. I hope the boy can really force his way into the final reckoning, and some of those older players will have to look over their shoulder.
Or over their perch.
Over their perch. That's what he should have been saying.
The problem with Hodgson is that he is a guy who hates taking chances.
Yeah.
He wants to stick with the same people all the time. I mean, that's why he's put Andros Townsend in. Because he always picked Andros Townsend, even when he was playing terrible football for Spurs.
I mean, you're absolutely right. First of all, instead of supporting the young kid, he supports the older players, tells them not to worry, the kid's only here for a bit of a novelty, which is disgraceful. But then, when asked about Andros Townsend and other players, these boys were loyal to the team and getting us to where we are now. So what?
The easiest group in the world.
So what? Exactly. Isn't it surely about the players who are in form now, not who were in form 2 years ago?
And he's not taking certain players because he doesn't think they've had enough game time. Well, right? He's taking Jack Wilshere, who's played one game.
Absolutely ridiculous and nonsense. I'm disappointed Leighton Baines isn't going. Leighton Baines is a very honest professional. Well, I would, because Leighton unfortunately had a few injuries, but he came back very strong.
But Everton haven't got much of a showing at all in this lot, have they?
Well, they have. They've got two great players. They've got John Stones and Barkley.
They haven't got Jagielka and they haven't got Baines.
Jags, I'm afraid, just had a desperately disappointing season with injuries and that sort of stuff. Everton's defence fell apart under Mr. Martinez, so he didn't do his defenders any favour at all. So I think Jags is a victim of that. But as for Leighton, I think he's such a unique player in terms of his attacking ability. And remember, we always got on penalties, and he never misses penalties. He only ever missed one.
Everton have got one of the worst defences in the league, right? So
they have had under Mr. Martinez.
You don't want their left back in there, do you?
Well, he wasn't left back for most of the season. That's the point I'm making.
Because he was out a lot.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was out a lot. Honestly, it was
not as much as Jack Wilshere, though.
Well, Jack Wilshere shouldn't be going. That's another, typical fudge by Hodgson. Jack Wilshere, very good player. How do you know? He hasn't played all season.
His argument. Well, he knows he's a good player. The question
we don't. We don't know if he's still the player he was last year.
That's what we don't know. We don't know whether he'll survive his injury crises that he goes from what he staggers from
absolutely,
one to the
next. Absolutely.
But one argument they'll make is that he is, of course, a much fresher player because he hasn't been tired out playing all season.
No, that's wrong. He's ring rusty. I don't think he's fresh. I think he's unable to cope with the pace of football at the highest level when he's been literally convalescing for the last 12 months. I just don't think he's up to speed for international football under any circumstances at all. It's a complete waste of time taking him. And if people said, oh, well, how would you leave Rashford in the squad? I'd say that's easy. At the moment, he's got 7 forwards and too many midfield players. knock out Jack Wilshere and include Rashford. That's the way I'd do it.
Yeah, sure. Now, what about Theo Walcott? Because you have said in the past that they should build the team around Theo Walcott and that he should be the captain of England.
I've never, ever understood why Theo Walcott has not blossomed on the international scene when so many England managers have had the opportunity to use him as an individual star. Yeah. He's one of the most talented players in England. He's not only talented, but his attitude to the game is right. He's got fantastic pace, as we all know. And I think you'll find...
He's not going to have that forever, is he? The fantastic pace.
No, he's not, but he's still got it at the moment.
But Roy says he hasn't played enough games.
Well, you see, I think you'll find some people close to Theo will take that attitude that his club appearances this year have been unfairly limited, and for that reason he didn't get into the firmament of Roy Hodgson's brain as to being a regular and permanent member of the England squad.
But you can't have it both ways, can he? How can he say that he hasn't had enough games on the one hand, and I'm sorry to go back to Jack Wilshere again,
you're right.
Say
you're right. I totally
Jack
agree.
Wilshere gets in because he's played once.
Totally agree. Don't understand it. And that, to me, it's not just the inclusion of Jack Wilshere. It is, like you, I worry about the confused thinking which goes to putting this squad together. Very confused, you know. And
the trouble
I don't
is,
get it.
Well, I mean, look at Raheem Sterling's name there. Now you have
I would not have included him.
I would have rather seen Jermaine Defoe get a chance. Because Jermaine Defoe has had a fantastic season for Sunderland. You know, Andros Townsend.
He's a match winner.
Andros Townsend has gone to Newcastle, played well, but not saved them from going down.
Yes.
Jermaine Defoe has gone to Sunderland, played brilliantly, scored 18 goals, and saved them from going down. And kept them in the Premier League.
Totally
How does he not go? Because he's not one of his favourites.
Totally
and I think that's the trouble. And you know as well as I do, I'm sure, come the Euros, we'll be watching Roy Hodgson, a man who is pretty clueless, standing there wondering what to do with himself. You know, if things go wrong.
No, I agree.
And he's now talking on the back pages this morning about doing a Leicester. You know, since when were England, you know, with the greatest respect to Leicester, sort of relegation candidates of the international European scene?
I couldn't understand that simile at all. When he said, I'm going to do a Leicester... What does that mean?
No.
You can't do a Leicester because we're not coming from the bottom of any group, mate.
No.
We're going there as sort of fourth or fifth favourites.
Well, you would have thought so.
Or something. Well, we are. I've seen what the bookmakers are saying about it. So I don't understand the terminology or the analogy. I really don't. Eh?
Well, never mind. I've got some very good news for you.
Oh, have you? What is it?
You're going to be cheered by immensely.
Oh, yes?
Yes, I'm getting a haircut.
You're getting a haircut?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a bit late, isn't it, that?
What
I think it should have been done today. I'd like to have started the week with a more...
Well, I wasn't able to go to the hairdressers today because I was in Sussex, if you don't mind.
Well, don't they have hairdressers in Sussex, then?
Not ones that I go to, no.
Oh, really?
I go to one in London.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, do you? Is your salon, is it?
Yeah, it's called a salon.
Yeah, because my salon, of course, is almost world famous now.
Is it almost world famous? What does that mean?
What?
What do you mean almost world famous?
What I mean is that...
Why are you talking like a robot?
No, I'm thinking it through.
Are you feeling all right, by the way?
That's
the main question I should have asked you at the top of the
I'm
show.
feeling okay, thanks.
Because I don't want you to do coughing and spluttering.
No. Feeling pretty well, man.
I think I might have had a bit of hay fever over the weekend.
Oh, really?
An awful lot of tree pollen around at the moment.
It's not good, I have to say.
You don't suffer from that, do you?
What?
You don't suffer from that.
What?
Tree pollen.
No, I don't suffer from tree pollen. What I'm worried about, and this is why I have to be very careful walking these days, is getting Lyme disease. If you get Lyme disease, it could completely destroy your life.
And it doesn't destroy your life.
It does, and
it can do, but it doesn't have to.
All these evil little ticks are hanging around, waiting to drop out of trees onto your head.
I told you my mother got it.
Yeah, I know, it's terrible.
She's all right still.
Ooh, yeah,
I
know.
92. I'm going to see her next weekend.
Yeah, but it's very, very pleasant to...
Would you like me to take a present for you?
Where to?
To my mother's.
No, what do you want to take a present for?
Well, I thought you might want to buy her something.
Well, sorry, buy your mother a present.
Well, why wouldn't you? She's 92.
Yeah, I know.
You're always professing that she's a great friend of hers.
Sorry, I didn't realise there's this new customer. So when somebody gets 92, they get a special present, do they?
Well, I just thought you might wish to show your generosity and give me a present to take to her.
Why?
And I can get there and say, this is from Mike Parry, by the way.
Why would I want to do that?
Well, because you're supposed to be a generous and kind person.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to be turning over a new leaf.
I am, and I know your mother very well. She's a lovely lady. But
you're not interested in buying her a present?
Well, I don't understand this new
fine.
idea.
No, it's fine. It's okay.
When people get to 92, you go, oh, here's a...
It's not because she's 92.
What do they call it? The nonny present?
Well, it's not because she's
the nonagerian or something.
It's not because she's 92. It's
no.
just because you profess to being, good friends with her.
Yes.
And yet you don't speak to her. You don't send her cards.
What do you want to do? Ring her up and say, hi, what's it like being 92, Mrs. Graham?
I don't know.
Huh?
I'm just trying to ask if you'd like to, make some kind of amends.
Well, why didn't you buy my mother a present then?
I don't know your
She's
mother.
83.
I've never met your mother.
Yeah?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, well, so what?
I don't know her.
So what?
You say that you're good friends with my mother, so I thought you might wish to take her a present. But if you don't want me to take her a present, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
Well, I think it'd be a bit of an empty gesture, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're not really one for empty gestures.
No, I'm not one for empty gestures. I'm certainly not. No.
Why'd you buy my kids a present then?
Well, that's because they're little kids and kids like presents, It makes them excited.
Yeah, you bought one present between the two of them.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I thought I bought more presents
than
that.
You bought a plane.
Oh, no.
Balsa wood plane.
No. Hang on.
You did?
What about the selection boxes?
The selection boxes?
Yeah.
With half the things missing?
Well, I did eat a bit of it on the way down there, I must admit, because I felt a bit hungry in the car. But, I mean, apart from that, I think you'll find I've been very, very generous in spirit to your children. Huh?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah?
They keep expecting me to introduce you to them.
What? I magically appear in Sussex, do I? Look, here I am.
Yeah, they're very keen.
The Mirage.
They're very keen for you to come and visit. I keep trying to talk them out of it.
By the way, I turned on the radio today in the car, and I wasn't listening.
Surprisingly enough, you weren't on it.
No, I wasn't. No, and I wasn't listening to Talk Sport. I was just listening to.
Why?
Because I sometimes flick through the airwaves to find out what everybody else is doing.
Oh, okay.
And I happened onto a national broadcaster who decided that the most important issue in the world.
Not one who makes more than 400,000 a year, I hope.
No.
Not one of them?
No, a national broadcasting station, I'm saying,
Okay.
Who decided at that very moment the most important issue anywhere in the world was the fact that Angela Jolie, this massively knowledgeable
Mrs. Pitt.
woman, Mrs. Pitt, massively knowledgeable woman, was making a speech in the United Nations.
Well, she has an ambassador there.
About the devilment of the refugee crisis, which has now been going on for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I found it so boring, it lasted like 12 seconds before I smashed my radio to pieces in the car.
It's not for everybody. It's so violent at the moment.
But I mean, why would I want to hear Angela Jolie, who was the sort of half-good actress in a film called, what was it called?
I don't know. Which one have you seen?
Riding down on a bike with a gun in her
Do you mean
thigh.
Tomb Raider?
Tomb Raider, that's right.
That was a terrible film.
Yeah, it was. It was shocking.
There's been a lot better films than that. You're talking about Angelina Jolie, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Not Angela.
Angelina Jolie. And
Angelina's Ashes was a good film.
Angelina's Ashes, that's right. And I'm thinking to myself, why is this woman being given this platform on the BBC? Oh, sorry, on the, on a national...
It's on Radio 4 you're listening to.
Yes,
that's what they do on Radio 4.
But I mean, I thought,
You were once on Radio 4, were you not, as an expert?
Was I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, actually. I can't remember what it was about now. Was it about obesity? Yeah, it was. Yeah, I went on a Radio 4 programme.
Well, can you imagine somebody who's used to listening to that from the UN turning on Radio 4 and hearing you?
Yeah, well, that's right, yeah. Absolutely right. But I thought it was absolutely dreadful and drivel, and I thought, what is this woman doing? She's an actress, She earns a few bob,
she's drawing
on the silver screen, and she's married to Brad Pitt. But who would take her seriously as
she's drawing
a woman
attention.
who can... No, she was actually, telling us all how we're going to solve the refugee crisis around the world.
Well, she's using her fame and notoriety for a good reason, unlike you, who use it purely and simply to kind of, sell your own self.
Well, it's important that one establishes a position in life.
Indeed. What's your position? Lying flat on your back?
No, mine is prominence.
Madness, they call it madness. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. It's winners and losers tonight, of course, taking place a little bit later on. It's currently 2.5 to 1.5 in my favour, but we're running it all the way through the Euro, so there's plenty of time left.
Yes.
Let me read out a few messages that we've got.
I had a bomber last week, by the way, on winners and losers, so I'll be fighting back very, very strongly tonight.
Absolutely
very strongly.
Slaughtered last week. Ryan says, please tell Porky to stop trying to do a Roy Hodgson voice before I punch him in the face.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, I'll remember that, thank you.
And here's one for Adrian, who says, Mike Parry's Roy Hodgson impersonation makes the England manager sound like a simpleton with a cold. Very harsh.
Oh dear, that's a bit harsh. Yes.
And Steve says you should know that buying presents and being nice is the part of Porky's heart that doesn't work.
No.
Heartless.
No.
And then Steve says, did I just hear Porky say he was an expert on obesity?
Yes, I am. Yeah, a bit. You know,
a bit
sort
of an expert, yeah.
Yeah.
How
well,
about
I have to be, because only 1/3 of my heart works, so I have to look after it.
49%, as written down in black and white by Dr. Banner.
No.
Charlton Kev says, my wife says Porky's sounding rather sexy with his deeper toned voice.
Thank you.
Due to man flu.
Thank you.
Really?
Thank you. Yeah. Well, yeah, I like that.
I like
well
to think
done.
about that.
Well
Bob
done.
in Sheffield says, Porky, violence is the last resort of an exhausted mind.
Really? Well, I don't believe in violence necessarily, but I mean, sometimes it's the only option, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay.
The only option.
Because Martin Lipton didn't sound too worried that you were going to crawl across
No,
the
he
desk
laughed,
and punch
actually.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan in Preston says, hi, Mike and Porky. Love your show. When are you coming to Preston with your show?
Yeah.
He says, I feel sorry for Mike Graham is the amount of stuff Porky moans about.
Yeah.
If he was a horse or a dog, he would have been put down.
That's
Graham is the man
harsh.
of the people.
I couldn't find a link today to our forthcoming show in rugby, so I was going to ask you to send me one.
Oh, right, okay.
Because I want to publicise it.
Well, you should have it, shouldn't you?
Well, I should have it somewhere, but I couldn't find it on the old websitus.
Oh, it's not on the website?
Well, I couldn't find it.
Couldn't you? Are you sure?
And that's in July, isn't
Are you
it?
sure? It is in July.
July
July the 16th. You
July
sure
the
you're just not being, sort of technically inept?
No, it could be, but you send me another link on it, I can put it out, and
I
then
will
people
do
can
that.
start going buying tickets, because rugby is a great place. Big school there.
You've been to rugby?
Yes.
Have you?
Yes.
I nearly bought a house up there once.
Why?
I don't know. But we went to when I was still married, before
Yes.
we decided to buy a house in Wiltshire.
Right.
That was one of the places we looked.
Why?
Well, just because it's quite close to London. It's got some very, very good communication links with London, vis-a-vis.
It's nowhere close to London,
Yeah, it
rugby.
is.
It's in Warwickshire.
Yeah, Warwickshire's not far from London.
Warwickshire's miles from
How far do you think rugby is from London?
100 miles at least.
How far do you think Wiltshire is from London?
About 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's not much in it, really, is there?
Well, you don't live 100 miles away from your workplace. That's madness.
Well, no, you can do, though.
Yeah, stupid.
You can. I mean, you can take a train in less than 2 hours.
Yeah, makes you a thickhead, I'm sorry.
People
Yeah.
commute all the time.
Yeah.
You've got a place in Gosport. How far is that from London?
Well, a long way, but I don't usually come from there to the studios. I usually do that from my Surrey residence.
But you, like many people, and me included, don't work a normal sort of working
No, that's
day.
true. It's
so
true.
you could come from there every night if you wanted to.
Yes, it's true.
You know?
Now, what about the fiasco at Old Trafford, eh?
What about the fiasco at Old Trafford?
I mean, what a mess. And the thing is, they didn't discover this blinking device until 20 minutes before kick-off anyway.
Well, I mean, there are several things about this story.
So that's a bit worrying, isn't it?
Well,
we swept the stadium, really. When? Oh, the day before, we didn't find a mobile phone, a real mobile phone, being used as a dummy device strapped to the back of a lavatory door.
Yeah, right.
Ridiculous.
But the problem is that, one, they didn't discover it before the game started. Two, nobody seemed to ask the question, I know it's not always easy to do at the time, but surely if they had been aware that there was some kind of, exercise
6 phones went out,
on Wednesday, that, this was not something that had been left behind by that particular exercise.
Unbelievable.
It seems extraordinary.
Unbelievable.
I don't blame Manchester United for evacuating the stadiums. I think they had no choice.
They had to, yeah.
But
I agree.
mean, this guy who's now on the front pages of the papers,
Yes.
Christopher Reed, I think his name is.
That's right, yeah.
A private security firm. He
Yes.
can't also explain why he claimed that this particular device had been counted back in when it hadn't been.
No, exactly.
What sort of security is that?
Heads will roll.
Yeah, heads will roll. We will
Heads
be
will
talking as well
roll.
to a man that you liked the last time we talked to him, Scriven King.
Oh,
his
is he?
name is security expert in America.
Excellent, that's
He's
good.
going to tell us
That's
about
good.
these kinds of operations and why they haven't found out.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you.
Yes, go
Have
on.
you ever given blood?
Have I ever given blood?
Yes. The only reason I ask is
Yes.
because I, like you, was driving into work listening to another radio station.
Right, okay.
Which is partly because the radio in my car only gets about 3 stations.
No, it's a knackered old car, isn't it?
Well, for some reason, no, you used to get TalkSport, you used to get AM, but for some reason the AM now doesn't work. I don't know why. But I'm going to take it. Next time I take it into the guy, I'm going to ask him if he can figure it out.
Right.
So I was listening to another station, another commercial station, funnily enough, and they had an advert on saying that they've got a shortage of O negative blood.
Oh, okay.
And I just wondered if you knew if you happened to be O negative,
No.
you could go and give blood.
No, I'm sort of AB or something.
AB.
Yeah, something like
well,
that.
you can't be AB.
I think I'm A.
You think you're A? That's quite rare.
Is it? Oh, I could be B then.
Well, that's quite rare as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, what isn't rare?
Well, O positive is generally speaking thought to be the most normal.
Oh, that's probably me.
And I've got O positive.
I'm pretty
blood.
normal, you know.
Why don't you know what blood type you are?
Well,
surely you should know if you're involved in some kind of, life or death situation.
Well, they can
which
tell
are
in an
more
instant, can't they?
Well, no, but it's easier.
One of these paramedics turns up, he just gives you a pinprick, and he looks on his slide. It says, "Oh, well, that's the sort of blood it is." Doesn't matter.
You should carry it around with you. I mean,
Rubbish.
when you've been in war zones, you claim, right? When I was in Bosnia,
Yes.
I had to wear a bulletproof vest,
Yes.
which had my blood type on it, in case something happened.
Well, I don't know why you wore a bulletproof vest.
Well, so I was in a place where people were getting shot.
Yeah, but if you got shot, you got so much blubber around your body, no bullet would have penetrated into your your
That's
major
nice.
organs.
This
anyway,
is why you were reviled as a news editor of the Daily Express, because you didn't care when you sent people out to various dangerous places, whether they got shot or not.
I was very concerned about.
Well, why weren't you wearing a bulletproof vest when you were in Libya?
Because a bulletproof vest is not much use against a Sidewinder fired from an F-111 US Air
but you didn't
Force fighter.
The US Air were attacking you.
Yeah.
The airline.
No, the US Air Force.
The US Air Force.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
By the way, have you seen that picture of Kelly McGillis that somebody put out on Twitter today?
30 years on.
30 years on.
It's a bit unkind, isn't it?
Well, I thought
it's a bit unkind.
But I thought she looked a bit like me.
I didn't actually see
the
picture of her, but I saw one about a year ago, and and I think that's very unkind to do that. And they only do it for women; they don't do it for men.
Well, they say
men are said to be the silver fox, grey hair, and all that. Women are always reviled as being ugly and not looking, looking old and warped, and have a face like a prune and all that kind of stuff, which is very unkind.
Well, I'm going to show you the picture because you might think like me that she looks a bit like me. Look,
you take
look at that. She's got my glasses on.
Actually, she looks quite nice there, I should think, but glasses are inappropriate in my view.
You just don't like big glasses, do you?
Well, not as big as that, really.
Do you not think she looks a bit like me? A bit of a resemblance to me?
Not really, to be honest. In fact, funny enough, an old mate of mine, Andy Dunn, who was the columnist in the Sunday Mirror, he was on...
When was the last time you spoke to him?
I don't know, about a month ago at a football match, and he was on a weekend programme, analysing football, and he swapped his... he's got very prominent glasses, like you. You know the guy I'm talking about?
I do know Andy Dunn, yeah.
And he swapped them for, what do you call them, contact lenses.
Uh-huh.
And he just doesn't look the same. He looks like he's blind. Because for some unknown reason, his eyes squint up,
Yeah.
And I can't,
Well, if you're used to seeing people with glasses, it's quite weird when you see them take them off.
I agree. I totally agree.
But I didn't wear glasses for years. I only started wearing glasses when I was about 43 or so.
Oh, really?
44, yeah. Before that, I didn't need them.
I got my car washed today.
Did you?
Yeah, brilliant.
Congratulations.
Asda.
Well done.
And
how much did that cost you?
£10.
And how much tip?
3. Because it was
only 3.
No, it was £7. I gave the guy £10.
Oh, that's unusual for you.
But I always tell them
that's quite sort of well proportioned.
No, I always say to them, make a good job of the wheels, otherwise I'm not going to give you a tip.
You didn't see the man who can't be named there, did you?
No, I did not. No.
Talking about tipping.
No, I did not. But anyway, I went into Asda to get a clothes horse. What is your problem?
Why?
What is your problem?
Why do you want a clothes horse?
I want a clothes horse
Why?
to dry things on.
Why haven't you got one?
Well, I have got one, but it looks like it's going to collapse any minute now.
Like the horses you picked at Cheltenham will still be running.
No, it's very rackety, and I don't like it.
What sort of horse did you have before? Was it plastic?
No, don't be ridiculous.
Wooden? No, I'm asking you.
It's plastic, of course. It's metal with plastic cover, isn't it? That's what clothes horses are.
Well, some
and you fold them out,
some of them are just plastic,
and they click into place. And then, I've got clothes horses all over the place, but this one is rackety.
Well, like a herd.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know why I bought it. It's going to collapse. The weight of some of the bedding that goes on it.
What do you put on it?
Well, I don't put anything on it. My housekeeper does.
Why doesn't she just use a tumble dryer?
She does, but when it comes out the tumble dryer, it needs airing, so you put it on a clothes horse. Don't worry about it, you
see.
I'm
not worried about it.
No. And the problem is, she has said it looks a bit rickety, so I told her to get a new one.
Why didn't she go and buy it?
I don't know. I've no idea. So I thought I'd short-circuit it and I'd get one, but I went into Asda to find that they've run out of clothes horses.
Really?
Which I think is a bit off.
There's been a run on the clothes horses.
Yes, there has, yeah. It's a bit off, actually, so...
So what are you going to do now?
Well, I don't know. It was a failed mission, but at least I got my car washed, which is a good thing. I don't know what your problem is.
So you went out for a clothes horse?
Yes.
And you ended up getting your car washed?
Yes, because I noticed these guys all hanging around, with a car.
Do you get one of those clothes horses that kind of goes up?
Yes, that's right, yes.
So it's quite high?
Yes, that's
right. As opposed to the ones that open out?
Yes, I do.
Which is then horizontally long?
Yes, I do. No, the high one.
You prefer the high one?
The stacker or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. So where are you going to get one then?
Well, I don't know. I think he'll go to Wilkinson's or somewhere, but I'll just leave her a note and ask her to get it.
Why don't you go back to the rubbing room? Maybe they've got one there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, why not? Why would a top restaurant on the edge of Epsom Downs have a clothes horse?
Well, you said it has got to do with horses.
Oh, you
Maybe you've got to go and see if you've got a clothes horse.
You're a complete clown.
Thank you very much indeed.
I don't know why I bother working with you, honestly.
I don't know why you bother either.
Chipping away at my reputation.
This is Talk Sport. Warren Barton's coming next. You recognise that?
That's something like the Magnificent Seven, isn't it?
It's not like the Magnificent Seven, but you're close. There are horses involved.
Yes, that's right. Which one is it?
It's Black Beauty.
Black Beauty?
Which doesn't, as far as I know, have anybody on a cowboy outfit riding around on the back of him shooting people.
Black Beauty was that wasn't a cowboy horse. Black Beauty was a dressage horse. Didn't have the Lone Ranger on its back.
It was not a cowboy horse, you're absolutely right.
Exactly.
It's not a clothes horse either, but that's the link to it.
Oh, I see, okay. Yeah.
The guys behind the glass are coming up with these things.
Tenuous.
Yes, absolutely right. Now, we were talking about Roy Hodgson a little bit earlier.
Indeed.
We're talking about football in general. Let's talk to Warren Barton, a man who knows a bit about playing for England, and probably a bit about how it feels to be a Newcastle football player, watching him go down into the Championship. Warren, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Hi, Warren.
To come in too as well. Good morning, gentlemen.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, we've been debating the Roy Hodgson squad. Lots of people have got lots of different views on it. There's a few kind of unexplained things in there, like, for example, as we've said, the inclusion of Jack Wilshere, even though he hasn't played very much, and the exclusion of Theo Walcott because he hasn't played enough.
Yeah, I think with Jack Wilshere, obviously Roy is a big fan of his and probably going to take the chance just to see if he's fit enough. I think it's a big gamble because Jack Wilshere needs to be at least getting a season or at least 2 seasons under his belt where he's injury-free. And to take him to a major tournament banking on that someone's going to be fit at multiple games, hopefully if they be successful with a short base of time is a big gamble. Theo Walcott, I can understand. I think he's flattered to deceive this season. When he has had his chances, it's been a bit hit and miss with him. And other people have come in. Andre Townsend has played well. I know the team's got relegated, but he looks like he's got energy and gives people a lift. Rashford, the young boy, is a sensation, very much like what Michael Owen did many, many years ago. So you can understand that logic behind it. But, obviously Roy really fancies Jack, and he's a talented player, there's no doubt, but his injury is a huge concern when you're going to be playing multiple games in a short space of time.
No, I totally agree with you, Warren. And what I don't understand, Warren, is why do managers land themselves with another gigantic problem? We've seen it happen and burden managers every time Wayne Rooney goes to a World Cup or a major competition. And at some stage, it's like a national crisis. If Wayne Rooney isn't fit, if his metatarsal hasn't repaired, we've got no chance at all. You put all that expectation on the back of one guy, one player, and then they sort of break down after the first game, and it's all doom and gloom. I think it's ridiculous, A, to take him, because as you quite rightly say, he's only played 4 games this season, and not even a complete game yet. But secondly, to say that he's so pivotal, we'll take him even though he's injured, isn't much of a compliment to the rest of the squad, is it?
No, you're right there. I think that's a backhanded compliment for Jack, because then all the other players are thinking, well, what about us? We've had to do it without him. I think the Tottenham players have done exceedingly well in midfield. I think we can get by without him.
Yep.
There's no doubt about his talent, but I don't think it's a headache you don't need to take. I think we could have said it was an easy excuse to say he's not fit enough, we're going to move on. And I think England would be a better team if they emulate this power, this pace, this energy like Leicester have played, like Tottenham have played, and really go into the Championships full of confidence rather than banking on that if he gets injured now we're in a big crisis. But he's still got a main East squad. He's still got to get through the next week or so, and it could be one of these players that, sometimes things come along. He may, God forbid, he might get injured. You don't know. You won't want to wish that on anybody, but you've got to take people, I would think, into a tournament that you can bank on that they're going to be 100% and see the way they play. But obviously, he ranks him very highly. Obviously, fancies him as a player. And we have to live with that. He's the England manager.
There are a couple of odd choices. I mean, Fabian Delph, for example. I mean, we're not going to go through every single name on the list.
Yeah, but he'll go out, won't he? Won't he be one of the 3 who'll drop out?
Well, then why is he even there?
Well, I've no idea, to be honest. I don't know. He had to name 28, but I don't.
And what about John Stones, Warren? What's your view on that? Porky obviously thinks he's an Everton player, so he's got great potential for being terrific. But he's had a pretty miserable season.
Yeah, he's got to learn how to defend. I mean, he's trying to be Rio Ferdinand without the experience. And Rio learned quickly not to take too many chances with the defender. We don't want to stop our young players playing out from the back and being comfortable. But there's a time and a place. And unfortunately, he's done it too many times in big games, with Everton not having a good season as well. But I think he's good enough. I think we'll have players next to him, Chris Smalling, obviously, and Cahill are experienced. So I think the future's bright. You want these young players to have experience in major tournaments. He has proven that he can handle it at the highest level, although he has made mistakes. If I was him, I'd pick up the phone and have lunch with Rio and just talk me through how to get on the ball, how to play the game in the highest level, when the pressure's on, when I have the ball, and get to go someone like Rio and speak to him and get the most experience and the time from someone like him that will help you.
Yeah, no, that's good advice for young John
now,
Stones.
Let's talk a little bit about, obviously, because, the England Euro scenario is quite a long way off. We've got the Cup final to come before that with Manchester United and Crystal Palace. We've got to talk about Newcastle's season as
Liverpool.
well. Warren, you probably had prepared yourself for what happened even before the last day of the season anyway.
Yeah, it was devastation. They haven't been good enough. The league doesn't lie. It was a really unusual performance the last game to win 5-1. Everybody was wondering where's that type of performance been the last probably 6 months, and that's the big question. There's a bit of optimism. Rafa seems to be pulling at his heartstrings, that the way he's been treated at the club, the way the fans have been so optimistic in the last game. And they were sensational. I was watching the game over in America and they're singing and shouting as if they had qualified for the Champions League. But as I said, the board needs to be cleared out. I don't think Ashley will go, but I think he's been very loyal to his friends that are in the club. Get rid of them, get people that are going to put the club in the right direction. They've got every chance of bouncing back. Someone like Rafa could think, you know what, this is a great opportunity. If I turn this round, I'll end up being a hero. Look what Kevin Keegan did in the 90s. Going forward, I could be that type of manager. Give me a year in this club. Let me run it how I want to run it. And I think we've got every chance to be successful and bouncing back. But it was an extraordinary performance. Down to 10 men and you go and score 3 goals. But the fans for me was phenomenal. The way that they were singing and chanting and things like that. It doesn't surprise me because I spent time up there, know the club and love the club, and they're fantastic. And they'll be lost in the Premier League because they are such a unique lot of fans. But you don't deserve to be in there, the players, and they've got to all get together and bounce straight back up again.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's the fans I most feel sorry for there, Warren. You played for them with distinction. And the thing is, there is such a local culture about being a Geordie, and there's only one team in that town. It's not like Sheffield. It's not like Liverpool. It's not like, London. There's one team, the Black and White Stripes, the Newcastle Bruins, Around, the culture and all that. Those fans deserve something better.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And obviously, when you go into the train station, the first thing you see is St James's Park as you go up the hill. So it's a unique place. And, the time that we had there was magnificent. Unfortunately, we failed. We didn't win the Premier League. But the fans appreciate hard work and commitment, and they want to be entertained. And hopefully we did that with the team that we have. And the fans are, you should never be took for granted up there. City fans.
And I'll tell you something else as well, Warren. There's a new hotel, right opposite where the brewery used to be. What's it called, Mike?
The Sandman.
The Sandman. It's quite new, but it's got a bar on the ground floor called the Shark Bar, Warren.
Porky's never recovered from going there.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's where all the beautiful people in Newcastle now gather, and there are some
I'll be there in July. So I'm going to get a little spot at the end of the bar and have a drink for you two. So
please do.
I'll be there in July.
Please do, and believe me, when I say there's some beautiful people there really are.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be too specific.
Beautiful place.
Yeah, it is a beautiful place. I agree.
Now, Warren, what are you hearing from Newcastle about Rafa? Is he? Because when it was first sort of suggested that Rafa would stay on,
as long as he doesn't go to Everton.
Well, most people were pretty dismissive of the idea that he would stay on. Are you hearing that he might?
Yes, no, I've heard strong things. Money will talk. I think it'd be on a huge bonus to get them back up. Yeah. I think he's realised what a special club it was. The same sort of feeling about the Liverpool fans and the Evertonians in that area where they're passionate about their team, they're right behind their team, and I think he endears himself to that. I think he loves being liked. He wants to be liked.
But it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in a lot of places he goes, does it?
No, not really. No, but he's found one place that they like him there. So I think he's realised maybe in the time of his career that if I really get this place going with the fan base, with the money, with the new TV deal, they could compete. There's a long, long way to go, fellas. I'm getting a bit carried away here, but what I've heard is he'll be on a big bonus. He'll have a carte blanche really to do what he wants to do regarding players. And I think at the age that he is now and what he's achieved in his career, you don't forget, it was only 6 months he was at Real Madrid. He can say, you know what, I can have 3 or 4 years here of doing what I want and be successful. And if I get this place going how I want it to get, it'll be jumping and it could be a force to be reckoned with. Right. And I think he likes that feeling of the fans being part of the club. I think he likes it at Liverpool and he likes it there, where rather than it's just an owner running it, he loves the fact that the fans are involved. And I think the people have obviously treated him very well, as they always do. And I think he's really going on his heartstrings because he is a romantic. He likes being loved, but I think he's going to be well treated there.
Sure. Warren, listen, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us. Warren Barton there talking to us from the US of A. He's back in Newcastle in July. He'll be in the Shark Bar at some point during that period, I'm sure. What about the way they slaughtered Tottenham at the weekend? But we'll talk about that.
It was amazing,
absolutely unbelievable. This is Talk Sport.
Fog on the Tyne is all mine, all mine. Fog on the Tyne is all mine. Fog on the Tyne is all mine, all mine. Fog on the Tyne is all mine.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, winners and losers, coming up a little bit later on.
Is all mine, all mine. Do you like that?
I don't mind it, I don't mind it.
Yeah. We're going to
I'm not as enamoured with Newcastle as you are. I like the place. I had a lovely time when we were there.
Yeah.
But you worked there and lived there for a long time. So,
I think it's one of the great cities of the world.
I can see how you could have a great affinity with it. I would. I'm sure if I'd spent more time there, I would feel the same way.
You know, the local...
that's the only time I've ever been there.
Is that right? First time you've been there? Yeah. No, I love the culture of the place, the architecture, the boldness of the people there, you know, the Geordies and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to the Tyne in November.
We are.
We're going...
But I thought it was September.
Oh, it's September, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're going somewhere else in November. Yeah, September.
We're going to Liverpool in November.
We're going to Liverpool in November, that's right. Yeah.
That'll be exciting.
I've seen that on the list, by the way, of the O2 Arena there, where we're performing, haven't you?
The O2 Academy,
Yeah, the O2 Academy, that's right, yeah. No, what I was going to say was...
for some reason, they produced the posters for the show in blue. I'm not sure that's a very good idea, is it?
Well, I'm not sure, really. I suppose
Liverpool fans aren't going to be.
Well, it's got to be blue or red, hasn't it? And apparently,
they've done it blue and red.
And our tickets are the second most expensive this year. I don't know why.
Well, I don't mind that. What they were, some of the people on Twitter were saying they were expensive. And you could go to these two other shows. Which are sort of impersonator bands, a bit like, the bootleg Beatles.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So they're not real bands.
Yeah.
So which I said, well, that's because we're original.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
We are not, and then we're not pretending to be somebody else.
That's right, but we're not going to Newcastle this time. We're going to Whitley Bay.
That's right.
Now, Whitley Bay is out at the mouth of the Tyne.
It's a bit further south, isn't it?
It's north, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you go out to Whitley Bay.
Further.
Well, it's not that much further. The point is, if you go out from Newcastle along the coast road, you go out to Tynemouth, and then if you just turn left and go up the coast, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles, you're at Whitley Bay.
Okay.
Now, Whitley Bay is most famous
I used to know a guy from Whitley Bay.
Really? Yeah.
His girlfriend stabbed him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, because she thought he'd been unfaithful to her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's wreaking a bit of revenge, isn't it? Did she get jailed for it?
No.
No?
No, and he was still with her.
Oh,
he
really?
went back to her, yeah.
Oh,
they were very much in love.
Oh, really?
I don't think she was from Whitley Bay, but he seemed to take it all in his stride.
Well, maybe people in Whitley Bay do.
He thought she was quite sort of within her rights to do that.
It used to be famous years ago for a place called Spanish City.
Oh, yeah.
And Spanish City was, I suppose, the equivalent to sort of Hastings, a sort of run-down, dilapidated, grotty sort of,
Well, I can't disagree with that.
Seaside
why was it
resort.
Called Spanish City?
I don't know. I've no idea.
What's it got to do with Spain?
But nothing at all. It's
Really?
been called that for years. But I think that's all been knocked down now, and I think it is now a revitalised, vibrant coastal town.
And the people who live in Whitley Bay, are they Newcastle fans then, usually?
Oh, yeah, of course they are. Everybody's a Newcastle fan around there. It's very upmarket, Whitley Bay. Whitley Bay's very upmarket.
Not in Sunderland.
Eh?
In Sunderland, they're not Newcastle fans.
No, Sunderland south of the River Tyne.
I know that.
Yeah.
But you say everybody up there is a Newcastle fan.
Well, everybody north of the Tyne supports only Newcastle.
Okay.
Because that's the River Tyne, you go up to Northumberland, okay?
Yeah.
People south of the Tyne might support Gateshead, they might support Sunderland, they might even support Middlesbrough, or they might live in Durham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who do they support?
Well, I don't know. I suppose they support their local team. And I mean, look, if you live in Gateshead, you're still officially sort of in Newcastle, so you'd support Newcastle.
All right.
Yeah.
Have you finished about Newcastle now?
Yes, I have, finished,
right. It's one from Becky, says, surely Porky's blood group is rare because of the level of Pinot Grigio which courses through his veins.
Well...
A- PG+.
I don't think so.
No, I do. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. Winners and losers coming up. There will be a podcast out a little bit later on this morning as well. Got quite a lot of texts and tweets to get through as well. If we could get to them. Some people suggesting that... somebody sent in, a Sunderland fan actually, sent in a Fog on the Tyne, a good version, the best, but it's unfortunately too filled with expletives to use.
No, we can't use that.
Joe says Spanish City featured in Tunnel of Love by Dire Straits.
Oh, did
it refers to the buccaneering pirates of the Spanish Main.
Right, okay.
You would imagine it would have something to do with those days.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Of shipping yore and all that.
That's right, yeah, you would, yeah, with it being coastal and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
And here's one from...
Perhaps it's where they brought all the sherry back from Spain or something like that, you know what I mean, into a big warehouse or something.
A lot of the sherry went back to Scotland, though, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah. And that's why whiskey is the colour it is, because it was tainted.
Yeah.
The white spirit, which was whiskey, was tainted by the colour of the sherry that had previously been in the barrels.
I've had white whiskey in Kentucky.
Yeah,
I went to Kentucky. Remember when Stevie Cawthon got...
Yes, I do.
Stevie Cawthon, he had to go to a drying out clinic.
Yes, I do, yeah.
I got sent to try and find him in Kentucky.
Oh, right, okay.
And they drink corn whiskey in Kentucky.
Kentucky rain keeps pouring down.
What's that? What is that?
Elvis Presley.
Is it?
Kentucky rain keeps pouring down.
How do you even know these songs? By the way, did you hear that your Welsh
set you free?
Your Welsh music quiz made it onto Clips of the Week last Friday?
Did it?
Yeah.
Excellent, good.
Yeah, which we just put out.
Glad.
Here's one from Steve. He says, I bet Porky likes that U2 song, Who's Gonna Find My Clothes Horses?
Who's going to find my clothes horses? Yeah, no, I've not heard that one, actually.
And Pinky says, can't sleep after watching Wednesday get to Wembley. You think we can do it and get back to the big time, ? This is after their victory over Brighton.
Sure. Well, look, I'm delighted Sheffield Wednesday's made it. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Sheffield Wednesday ever since...
Why, instead of Sheffield United?
Well, ever since the 1966 FA Cup final.
Oh, yeah.
They were 2-0 up, we won 3-2. And whilst you don't normally have sympathy for your enemies, the sight of the Sheffield Wednesday fans pouring out of Wembley when they thought they were going to be the fans of the cup winners to find that they were actually the cup losers has haunted me ever since. So,
oh dear.
And also, I mean, in the 60s, you were always told that the greatest ground in this country was Hillsborough because it had the first cantilever stands, i.e. a stand that managed to support its roof without any pillars to get in the way of the viewing spectator. And this was, like space age stuff, and that's why they used to play a lot of obviously semi-finals and things at Hillsborough.
Right.
Not forgetting the Hillsborough tragedy, obviously, but for years and years they sort of played them there. So I've always thought Sheffield Wednesday are a big enough club to be in the Premier League and remain there. And sadly, through a lot of its management over the years, they've slipped as far down as the third tier of English football, which is not good enough. So,
well, it's funny, isn't it?
I'm glad they're in contention to come back.
But do you not wonder sometimes now that if you see a club like that used to be in the top flight always, it must be much harder now to come up and actually, try and put a team together.
Well, I suppose so.
Can stay up.
I suppose so. They're going to have to be very good to get past Hull, aren't they? Because Hull have found the momentum in.
Well, they haven't got there yet. I mean, they probably will, but they're not there yet.
Of course they will. They're 3-0 up.
They're playing tonight, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 3-0 up. They'll easily get.
You think that's unassailable?
Unassailable.
That could be the Porky Jinx.
No, I don't think that'll be the Porky Jinx. I think that's just a matter of common sense.
The Porky Jinx has been working well, I have to say, over the weekend. I mean, we will, I'm sure, get a mention in winners and losers, but you did predict that Lewis Hamilton was going to burn up the track in Spain.
I did.
Shortly before he crashed.
Well, he did burn it up.
Unfortunately,
he burnt up his teammate, Nico Rosberg, at the same time, which is a bit of a blunder, really.
Did. I mean, there were people also pointing out that you suggested that Newcastle would stay up and that Tottenham would win the league.
Well, I thought Tottenham would win the league, and in fact, Tottenham, threw away their opportunity to win the league. But that's not that sounds like I'm taking something away from Leicester, which I'm not. Leicester were brilliant, and we should all praise them for it. Now, listen, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, go on.
I want to talk to you about. You won't know anything about this, even though you're going there this weekend. So I thought I'd let you know.
What?
No, you're going to America, aren't you, on Friday?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, it's great. Going off to see your mum and all that.
Yeah.
And, if I think
I'll give you your best.
If I think I'll buy her a present, you can take it with you, okay?
Yeah.
Now,
don't get anything too big though, because I'm not taking a big bag.
No, exactly. It'll be like a little brooch or something, I suppose, as a sign of my endearing affection for her, something like that. Okay.
Right.
So what I was going to say was right. Did you know that America is currently in the grip of a chess epidemic?
Chess?
Yes,
I
chess.
did not know that.
Yes,
no.
it is. Yeah.
Well, I do remember when I used to live there that you go down to Washington Square Park and there'd be people playing chess in the open air.
Yes.
And people used
is
to
that
just
the one with like the big...
with the arch.
Yeah, the arch, that's
Village,
right. Yeah, I know, yeah, that's right, yeah. And
very close to where our friends the Carneys used to live.
Oh, that's right, yeah. And in fact, it has now become so serious that a lot of hospitals, which have formerly treated people for mental conditions like depression and all that, are treating people for chess...
chess addiction?
Addiction, yeah.
What?
Yeah,
how can you be addicted to chess?
Thousands of people are getting addicted to chess. Now, it is routine that every school in America now teaches chess to the children, right? Yeah. There are chess clubs all over the place. There are chess magazines, which people are now making fortunes out of
from
publishing.
Bad thing, is it?
Well, it's a bizarre thing because people have now taken to it in a huge way. And
why would you describe it as an epidemic? Surely it's a good thing if people play chess.
No, it's not if people are being admitted to mental hospitals for treatment to their unnatural interest in the game of chess.
Really?
And some people's lives have been taken over. They spend all day playing chess, and that's all they do.
Oh, okay.
And the thing is...
Are you a chess player?
No, not at all.
You've never played chess?
I did at school. I never understood why you had to have this clock on the table. What was that for?
Well, the clock was there so that you don't take too much time to decide on your next move. And then basically you have a timer so that everybody plays the same amount of time.
Yeah.
So that, because otherwise you could sit there with someone who's kind of, racked with indecision.
Yes.
And they just sit there staring at the board
for
hours on end.
And you have to actually do it within a set period of time, do you?
Well, yeah. So then,
But you get 5 minutes.
And then when you move, you hit I think you can vary it, but I think it's something like 5 minutes. Yeah.
So what do you?
Why do you chess championships? I think you might get longer.
So why do you hit the gong?
Then you hit the clock when you've made your move, and then the clock starts again for the next guy.
Yeah, I see. Yes.
Or your opponent, as he's known.
But anyway.
Why would you not? Chess. I mean, I'm not a great chess aficionado.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've played the odd game of chess. I quite like it.
It's all centred in St. Louis.
Eh?
It's all centred on St. Louis.
What, the epidemic?
St. Louis has become the chess capital of America.
Has it?
It
well,
is.
I'm not going anywhere near St. Louis.
No, I know.
St. Louis, actually.
Yes, St. Louis, that's right, yeah. What's that?
St. Louis, Missouri? Or St. Louis, Kansas, because there's two, isn't there?
Yeah, but they're right next door to each other, aren't they?
Yeah, it's quite confusing.
It is, yeah.
Especially when you're flying to one or the other.
Well, exactly. What's that song? Is it Don't Forget Me St. Louis or something?
I don't know.
No, it's a very, very famous song.
Meet Me in St. Louis?
Meet Me in St. Louis, that's the one. Meet Me in St. Louis.
It's from is it from Carousel or something?
Carousel. And I think that...
Which is what You'll Never Walk Alone is from.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that alludes to the confusion of having two cities with the same name.
Yeah.
St. Louis, Kansas and St. Louis, Minnesota, is it?
Well, St. Louis, Missouri.
Missouri, that's right, yeah.
Which is next door.
I went to Missouri, to that jail in Springfield, where I think that's where the
Sioux
Indian was going to kill me.
They've got that big... was going to kill you.
Yeah.
They've got that big arch, haven't they?
Yes, that's right, yes.
Which I think is in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah. Is that the McDonald's arch?
No,
it's very similar, though, isn't it?
Well, if there was two of them, it would be.
Yeah, it would be. That's right.
It's only an N.
No, I know exactly.
That'd be two arches.
The two cities are separated by a river, aren't they?
Right?
The two cities are separated by a river.
Yes.
Yes, that's
the Missouri.
Right. The Missouri, that's right. Yeah,
it's a big
exactly.
river.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know.
It comes all the way down from Chicago.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Do you know what Chicago's named after?
What's it named after?
Chicagua.
Chicagua. Who says that? That's Mexican.
No, it was the Cherokee Indians.
Was it?
It was their favourite form of root vegetable.
What, Chicagua?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's what Chicago's named after.
Is it?
It's like a root vegetable. It's like a bit of ginger. Huh? What are you laughing at?
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
You're just making this up.
No, I'm not. I'm not, honestly.
I think you are.
No, I'm not. I'm not. You ask anybody about the history of Chicago.
Anyone. Yeah.
And Chicago.
I'll tell you what I'm slightly worried about is that I was reading a piece yesterday which said that they've got now this sort of security fervour in America,
right?
Unlike at Old Trafford.
Yes.
And apparently it's now taking so long to get through security before you get on a plane,
right?
That people are missing their flights. Despite arriving 3 hours before the flight actually leaves.
3 hours before?
Because I'm getting a flight back from JFK on Sunday night to get back here Monday morning.
Yes.
And I'm now thinking, what time am I going to have to, leave to get there?
Well, absolutely right.
Because obviously I couldn't leave you on your own, could I?
And the other thing is, and I'm sure this won't affect you, but I went and immediately checked my passport when I realised, is that the Americans have now banned anybody entering the country unless they've got a biometric passport.
Right. Have you got one?
Yes.
Good.
Have you?
Yes.
You sure?
I have.
Yeah, exactly.
Very much so.
Exactly, yeah. So I haven't got a problem there.
Because when you come back now, you can go through the... I very rarely do it because I usually travel with the family and they don't all have them. But you can go through the little booth.
That's right.
Where you just press your passport
That's
down.
right.
And it's like going through the tube.
If your family haven't got them, you won't be able to take them to America again until they get them.
No, that's good. That's too expensive.
Sorry?
That's good.
It's too expensive. Yeah. And by the way, on short-haul British Airways flights now, you don't get any free food anymore. You're going to have to pay for it.
Well, how's it short haul?
Hey?
How's it short haul?
Well, 1 hour, like England to...
I'm going to New York.
London. No. Just in case you ever go from London to Glasgow, you've got to buy your own food in future.
Well, you haven't got time to eat it.
I don't know. I think those trolleys get in the way on those short haul. They should all be banned.
No,
just take your own booze on board in a like a whiskey. What's the name? What do you call it?
Flask.
That's right. Yeah, and take yourself a butty from Sainsbury's or something.
Yeah, all right.
What do you want to buy stuff on board for?
You're just like the travel advisory.
By the way, we've got to talk about
the time.
Talk about the Putin situation because that could be. Oh, that could be trouble.
We've got to talk about that guy with the penis transplant as well.
No. The Ukraine winning the Eurovision Song Contest. That could be a real problem. I'm telling you.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll be on Putin's side. This is Talk Sport. Did you actually watch the Eurovision Song Contest then?
Well, I watched about the first 3 minutes and then I couldn't stand any more.
So you didn't watch... This is the winning song, apparently.
Yeah, I know,
Because I didn't watch it at all. I kept trying to convince my son to watch it, but he wanted to watch Britain's Got Talent.
Well, I don't blame
him.
But anyway,
he wasn't interested at all in the Eurovision Song Contest.
What's happened here is that the Ukraine won, right? So you realise that, do you?
I did know that, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I have followed the news, even though I don't actually watch the show.
But as a result, there's some sort of claim or concern that it was all gerrymandered against Russia.
Well, there's a row, isn't there,
between
those in the Ukraine who would like to be part of Europe, and those in the Ukraine, particularly Crimea, who would like to be part of Russia.
Absolutely.
I assume that this woman is part of the crowd that want to be European.
Oh, no, she's part. Sorry, she is. She's part of the crowd who want to be European
because the Russians are all upset about it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
because they've said that her song is all about sort of horrors.
Oh, it is. This is the point.
By the Crimea, the people in Crimea against Russians.
No, you're absolutely right. You see, according to my sources, Russia have threatened now to boycott next year's Eurovision Song Contest.
But the whole thing's a joke anyway.
Of course it is. But they say the Ukraine won with an anti-Moscow protest song. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And this lady, Jamala, what was the name of that group years ago? Tipped a bucket of water over John Preston.
Chumbawamba.
Yeah, Chumbawamba. Sounds like Jamala, doesn't it?
No.
So Jamala...
Doesn't sound anything like it. And also she's not a very tall, bull-headed man.
No.
Who was the guy in Chumbawamba.
And by the way, if she hadn't got a late burst of votes, Australia might have won it,
Well, that's the other,
that's
the other ridiculous thing. They were supposed to be in it last year.
Yes.
Because it was the 60th anniversary, right?
Yes.
Now, ludicrously, had they won it this year, because they were invited back for some unknown reason, even though it wasn't the 60th anniversary, they then had to host it.
Yes, that's
so
right.
They had to host the Eurovision Song Contest in Sydney.
In Australia, everybody goes out there. But the thing is, Russia were due to win it until the late burst of votes for Jamala.
Yeah.
They got knocked into third place. So Mr. Putin's not a happy man. It says here, many believe it was also pointedly referring to President Vladimir Putin's military intervention in Ukraine in 2014, which led to the Crimea being annexed.
Yeah.
They say that's what the song was written about.
Well, indeed it was. And that's why that problem... I mean, I was reading a story about Donetsk at the weekend.
Yes.
And how Donetsk, where Shakhtar Donetsk used to play football, has just become a kind of, a place which is constantly shelled, where the ruins of buildings all over the place, and it's supposed to be a kind of part of the European football family.
Sure.
It's just incredible what's happened there.
But this song, it seems to me like it was very provocative. The first line of the song, which of course you couldn't tell because you don't speak Crimean, was, when strangers are coming, they... What's the problem? Yeah.
Is that a Crimea accent you've got going on?
Yeah, sort of.
When strangers are coming.
Yeah, when strangers are coming, they come to your house, they kill you all and say, we're not guilty.
It's not exactly take that, is it?
No, it's not actually, no. It's not, it wouldn't make number one in the charts, Beatles style, would it?
No.
But anyway, and they go on to say that...
Presumably you're not in favour of this song winning, being as you're such a Putin supporter.
I'm not a Putin supporter. I think Mr. Putin's a strong leader who has clearly, drawn the lines of acceptability within his own country, that's all.
Okay.
But Jamala said, no, the words mean more than one would think, and definitely contain no political message.
Scottish now.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean, yeah.
But I just think the whole furore about the Eurovision Song Contest, it's a kind of artificially created event, which really doesn't mean much to most people. I think people who are very, very much sort of into it are a bit odd, to be honest.
No, I totally agree. I mean, it's just fascinating how bad it is all the time, isn't it? You know
it used to be.
You think,
but now it's kind of gone beyond bad.
Yeah, I'd say,
it used to be fun to watch because it was terrible.
It's now like pointless, isn't it?
Now, now it's just. I mean, I just say I couldn't even interest my 11-year-old.
No, exactly. Anyway, Russian politician Frank Klintsevich said that's a strange name for Russian. Frank. That's right. Yeah,
it's like Frank Underwood, the guy in House of Cards.
That's right. Yeah. He said, if nothing changes in Ukraine by next year, I don't think we need to take part.
Well, will anybody care if they didn't take part?
Well, I don't know. I suppose it's a bit of national pride.
Does this mean that Ukraine is going to host it then next year? I guess it is.
I think so, yeah.
It's still quite a dangerous place, isn't it?
Another politician, actress Yelena Drapiko, says... This is in part a consequence of the propaganda war against Russia. I'm speaking about demonizing Russia as a whole, suggesting everything is bad here. It's not. Yeah, so...
yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, I mean, there was an amazing kind of Twitter spat going on ever since that night.
Yeah.
Where, the sort of the pro-Soviet people on Twitter are having a go, and the pro-Crimean people are having a go, and the pro-European people are... it's an absolute mess.
Yeah.
Absolute mess.
Do you see the guys who represented Britain? They were called Joe and Jake.
Yes.
They
were pretty useless.
That sounds like a joke. Well, no, because apparently, according to some reports I read in some newspapers this morning, they are now officially the new Anton Deck.
Are they?
Yeah, Joe and Jake.
Why? Well, they presenting TV shows on Saturday night.
I've no idea, but they finished 24th out of 26 contestants. So
how can they be the new Anton Deck?
I have no idea.
I mean, they'll disappear like everybody else always
I've no idea. I think that you'll find the two Mikes have a bigger rising star than Joe and Jake. That may well be true. You know what I mean?
Did we not do a quiz on the Eurovision Song Contest?
Yeah, I'm sure we did.
And you got 3 out of 10.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I'm sure we did.
Yeah.
But anyway, all I'm saying is, when Mr. Putin is upset, he sometimes gets a little bit sort of aggressive towards those who he thinks are putting his country down. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Sabre rattling or whatever you want to call it.
Exactly. Now, how about this from David? Porky Man of the People could provide the clothes horses and his tent-like shirts for the Euros fan zone area.
Yeah, good idea.
Ian says the only person with a perch at the FA is Hodgson, as he looks like an owl. Google Roy Hodgson owl.
Well, I mean, that is quite an interesting comparison between Roy Hodgson and...
Owls are very wise. Mike says
wise.
Sheffield Wednesday are also owned by ties like Leicester are, so I guess that means that the inference being that they could build themselves up into a Premier League club.
Yes.
Coco says, Mike, I'm glad Porky didn't say anything about Andy winning the Rome Masters. Please tell him not to say anything about the French Open. I presume he's talking about Andy Murray.
Well, that's right, because he goes and beats Djokovic for the first time in God knows how many years on clay, and now Djokovic is looking risky, isn't he? Flaky.
Flaky. And people are pointing out that we're making a huge mistake with St. Louis. We're thinking of Kansas City, not St. Louis.
Yes, we are.
There are 2 Kansas Cities, not 2 St. Louis.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Mike and Matt both say that.
Yeah, I knew it was Kansas.
Yeah,
I knew it wasn't St. Louis.
You didn't correct me, though.
Well, I didn't want to correct you on air because I thought either I'm going to make you look very stupid,
well, you don't,
or I'm going to make myself look very stupid.
Well, it doesn't normally stop you.
But I knew all about Kansas City. I just know St. Louis was the same.
Yeah.
We were talking, of course, about Kansas City.
Oh, okay.
Kansas, and Kansas, Missouri.
And we have to do a listography as well now, don't we?
Oh, yes, indeed, yeah.
Because,
we've got any suggestions?
Yeah, we've got loads. We're coming in all weekend. Because what I've asked people to do is if you hashtag it listography, then we can look at it no matter what time of the show is actually on.
Excellent.
And so we will do that. Coming up next, I think we'll do that. Should we pick three things that we're going to concentrate on?
Yes, definitely,
John says this, Porky's Ukrainian accent is pure Rab C. Nesbitt.
What?
You know who Rab C. Nesbitt is, don't you?
Yeah, he's the Scottish drunk.
Yeah, the Scottish drunk.
That's right, yeah. No, I don't think so. Now, listen, talking about drunks, by the way, I've had some information sent to me because people thought I was very unfair in the way I portrayed Dylan Thomas.
Really?
Yeah, as a legendary, hello, boy.
Well, he was a legendary drinker, wasn't he?
I drink 25 of these a day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To say that he actually tales of alcohol excess, womanising, outrageous behaviour and all that are very misleading and wildly exaggerated.
By whom?
Well, they say that a new memoir has just been published about Dylan Thomas, and been placed in the British Library, because you can do that sort of thing, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it says...
Have you ever been to the British Library?
Eh?
Have you ever been to the British Library?
No, it's big, isn't it?
Yeah, the new one near St Pancras Station.
No.
That's the big new building there.
Is it? Yeah, what's happened to the old one?
Well, I don't know. I think they knocked it down.
No, they haven't knocked it down. It will just have overflowed, and they decided they needed a new building.
They put everything in this new building. It's fascinating. You should go.
No, the old British Library is an historic building. You couldn't knock that down.
No, where is it?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know where it is.
Well, you seem to know everything about the British Library. You tell me where it is.
I'm telling you, with the new British Library, which has been there for some years now.
And where's the old British Library?
I don't know where the old British Library is.
No sense of history, you. You say a Philistine as usual.
You've just told me you don't know where it is.
Well, I don't care where it is. I never wanted to go there and borrow a book, so it doesn't bother me.
You don't go there to borrow a book.
What do you go there for?
You go there to look at old manuscripts. They've got a copy of the Magna Carta there. Anyway. They've got a copy of all the major historic works of fiction and non-fiction. You don't go there to borrow a book or a record.
Yes.
It's not like going to your local library.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, okay.
You feeling all right?
Yeah, listen...
It's getting a bit hot in here.
No, it's not. Now, Dylan Thomas suffers from one of the problems that I suffer from, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that is this. The new account, which is written by the poet's family, portrays Dylan, who once boasted of drinking 18 straight large whiskies in a New York bar.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 25, boyo. As someone with a low tolerance of alcohol. But get this, Mike.
Yeah.
Dylan had a low tolerance of alcohol, and he was only ever lured into drunkenness when surrounded by hangers-on.
Really? Is that what you're claiming?
Oh, dear. No, I'm not claiming that at all. Yeah. No.
That is the last refuge of the scoundrel, isn't it, to blame everybody else for getting them drunk.
Yeah.
Definitely not a good thing.
David Hughes, who's one of the co-authors of this, paints Thomas's wife, Caitlin, as by far the more outrageous half of the couple. She was a nymphomaniac and a first-class bitch, as well as being a drunk. Well, that's
not very nice.
That's a nice...
Who's calling her that?
David Hughes, who's some distant member of the Dylan Thomas family.
Oh, okay.
Now, let me see. It says here, he was the doctor. He was the family doctor. Sorry, family doctor. The family doctor looked after Mrs. Thomas.
Time, by the way.
Don't worry about that. And her children, when the family lived in Larne, which is spelt Lougharne, Laugharne.
Where's that?
It's on the Welsh coast.
Oh.
Lougharne? Yeah, he lived in a boathouse.
He was from Swansea, wasn't he?
Well, that must be near Lougharne or Larne.
Lougharne?
Yeah. What?
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, he says...
What's he going on about?
The memoir confirms the conditions necessary for this late burst of creativity in his life just before he died. Despite the legend, he thrived best on quiet routine and relative sobriety. Well, I don't know about that, too.
I don't know about that either. Anyway, we've run out of time, because coming up next, we've got to talk about the Manchester United fiasco.
Indeed.
And how it could possibly have happened with the security expert. Omar says this. Porky is right. There are 2 St. Louis. The other one is in Senegal.
Oh, there you go.
This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the 2 mics, winners and losers coming up. But what we must do now, because we have to still get stuck into this kind of scenario, remembering the new day and its listography, our favourite feature that was on the back page. We've had loads and loads of them, actually, over the course of the weekend. So if I just read out a bunch of them, you can decide which one you fancy.
Okay.
Here's one. Well, the top one is just silly. It's about clothes horses. We're not going to that. Here's one from Steve. Name 3 of the hardest decisions you have ever had to make.
Right.
Adam says, what have been your 3 favourite FA Cup finals?
Right.
Then Steve says the top 3 lies you have told.
Yes.
Porky might struggle remembering what was and what wasn't a lie in his time, says here. 3 favourite 2 Mics live shows.
Yeah.
There have been 16 so far, apparently.
16?
Is that right?
Don't know.
Top 3 things purchased from the TV shopping channel while bladerating in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
3 towns or places or countries that Porky hasn't slagged off yet. Are there 3 left?
Well, I like the decisions one, because I think that's a challenge.
The 3 hardest decisions you've ever had to make?
Yes.
Okay, that'll be good. You want a bit of time. You want a bit of time, though, to think about it.
Well, let's do it after the top of the hour.
Yeah, or we could do it after the next little kind of passage of time.
Okay, that's fine, yeah.
Which the word that begins with B that we're not allowed to say.
Okay, that's fine,
we do that?
Okay, yeah, good. Sounds
Roy
good to me.
says this. Bram Stoker was from Ireland, you plank. Bram Stoker got the inspiration to write Dracula while visiting Whitby.
That's what I told you.
Brendan says Bram Stoker was not born in Whitby, he was born in Dublin.
Yeah, I knew that.
And visited Whitby, which inspired him to write Dracula.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Right.
It was his adopted town in this country.
But he must have lived there then while he wrote it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
sure?
Yeah, there's a famous house there with a blue plaque saying, this is where he looked out over the North Sea. And because the original, his version of Dracula was that Dracula wasn't actually a bodily form. He didn't lay down in a coffin every night and close the lid because he couldn't get in the dark.
No.
He was a vapour. He changed from gas into human form.
Yeah, well, he could also be a bat, couldn't he?
And a bat and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely, he could actually form himself into any sort of creature he wanted. He could be a human being 1 minute sitting in a pub talking to you. You didn't realise you were talking to Dracula. The next minute, you're absolutely right. That night, you could be a bat flying around, biting you, and all that kind of stuff.
He didn't always have a cape.
Didn't always have a cape.
Right.
And sometimes he existed in gas form only, and he was just a vapour.
Gas form?
Yeah, a vapour, you know? Like...
Well, it didn't exist. That's the point. This is a fictional character.
No,
he was created.
No. Yeah, but when he attacked people as...
Well, no, it doesn't exist.
As the vampire, he did
doesn't exist.
No, he did exist in the book.
Yeah, in the book, he's a creation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're not talking about sitting next to somebody in a pub. Oh, well, that might be Dracula.
Yeah, it could be.
It couldn't be.
How do you know? How do you know there isn't a Dracula on the world now? How do you know?
Well, because I'm pretty sure there isn't.
No. Could be. You get tales of people being attacked by people who bite them all the time.
When was it? Well, Luis Suarez, you're saying, is he?
No, of course he's not. But
he's the only person that goes around biting people.
Well, he's not, is he? Because we don't know what goes on inside Transylvania. Diego Costa. Yeah,
have you been to Transylvania?
No.
Why not?
Well, it's in Romania. I've been to Romania.
Yeah, so you've been near Transylvania. Did you see any evidence of Draculian activity?
Well, I wasn't looking for them, was I? So,
well, they might be looking for you.
No, they move in mysterious ways. As I say,
you believe in all this stuff, don't you?
In Romania,
you believe in Dracula, don't you?
Could have passed.
Why don't you just say it?
I could have passed a Count Dracula figure in the street who was just disguised as an ordinary person.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah. What's your problem?
This is the kind of This is the kind of reason you end up getting locked up for this kind of stuff.
No.
Oh yeah, I thought he was a vampire, so I decided to beat him to a pulp.
Yeah, I decided to put a stake through his heart and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's dangerous stuff.
Well, I wouldn't be dismissive. I wouldn't be that dismissive.
Why are you so superstitious about Dracula?
Well, I'm not. But
you are.
I think
you obviously got quite worried.
Did you see the film Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Is that the Tom Cruise one?
No, definitely not Tom Cruise. It's
that was Interview with a Vampire.
I think it's Johnny Depp, isn't it?
Keanu Reeves.
Didn't Johnny Depp play some guy in that?
I don't know. I think Keanu
he did.
Reeves, wasn't it?
With sort of John Lennon type.
Was Tom Cruise Interview with a Vampire?
Hey.
That was an Interview with a Vampire. Was Tom Cruise, wasn't it?
No, I think Tom Cruise was in a film with Al Pacino about a firm of lawyers who actually turned out to be descendants from the devil.
No, that's Keanu Reeves. That's not Tom Cruise.
Oh, it's Keanu Reeves, was it? Okay, yeah. I knew something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great film, actually.
Yeah, is it?
That's a great film.
What was it called?
Devil's Advocate.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good film.
Was it? Yeah, I saw it and I thought it was a bit ridiculous, really.
Well, it was a bit ridiculous, but it was still entertaining.
You know, 1 minute Al Capone was the usual sort of street smart. What's the problem? Sorry, Al Pacino was the usual street smart lawyer.
Right.
And the next, he was his eyes were burning red like Michael Jackson.
Out like a lizard.
Yeah, like Michael Jackson's.
It's a great film, though. But everything doesn't have to be. Everything doesn't have to be absolutely, utterly spot on, does it?
I'm not sure about that.
I was forced to watch Captain America at the weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How was that?
That was okay, actually, for that kind of film.
Did you go to the cinema, did you?
No, because the kids want to go to the new one in the cinema, which is the one that's the third one that's come out.
Yes.
So we had to watch the two earlier ones.
Oh, downloaded them, did you?
Which were on... didn't download them, I streamed them, actually.
Streamed them, yeah. How much did that cost?
It was free.
Oh, free?
Yeah.
Why? Did you steal it?
No, I didn't steal it. No. Why would you assume that?
Well, how do you get? I don't know how you get films free.
Well, I know you don't. But, well, I mean, there are some films that you pay extra for.
Yes.
If you subscribe to a particular channel. Some films that you get as part of the package of subscribing to the channel in the first place.
Yes.
So that's what I did.
Excellent.
And they were free.
Well, I got my car cleaned today.
You told me that already.
Yeah, and I did it because I was going out looking for a new telly, but I couldn't find one.
I thought you were looking for a clothes horse.
I was at the same time. Yeah. All right, first one was whether to stay in Chester and marry Trudy when I was 20 or leave and pursue my journalistic career.
Well, had you already proposed to her then?
No, she was expecting me to. And take to the road, and I chose the latter. And I have to say, although there was a huge bond between us, it was the right decision, because in the end I was lucky enough to have a good career.
Okay.
If I could have had both, I would have done, but you couldn't.
Well, it's also the right decision for poor old Trudy as well.
Well, yeah,
she
I'm sure it was.
Stuck with you for 30
I'm sure it was.
Years.
I'm sure it was.
Worse.
Yeah, she went on to have a happy life, so that's good.
How do you know?
Well, I sort of kept in touch with her for about 20 years afterwards.
Did you?
I haven't seen her for about 20 years or heard from her. Now, the second one, again, had to be business. And it was when I was at the Birmingham Evening Mail.
Yes.
I was suddenly called in the editor's office, and they offered me one of two choices. I could either be made deputy news editor on the biggest evening paper in the country, with a promise that within 18 months I would be the news editor.
It's always difficult, that, though, isn't it?
Which would have been
a promise is always a difficult one.
Very prestigious job indeed at such a young age. I was in sort of mid-20s. Or there was a vacancy, excuse me, in the London office where the London editor, moved on to another national newspaper. Did I want to go down and take control of that? It was sort of part management and part reporting job.
Yeah.
And because the office was based in Fleet Street, or just off it, I thought, wow, an opportunity to get straight into Fleet Street, So I took the second. And again, it proved to be the right decision, because now, with the decline in newspapers over the years, I would be stumbling around somewhere in the Birmingham Evening Mail 30 years later.
And people would be looking at you going, look at that old guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone's very young.
Yeah, of course they are. What's he doing here?
Young person's business.
Oh, God, what can we get him to do today? And all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So, again, that was that. And then the third decision, I suppose, well, it's got to be, although it wasn't a decision, but it was being offered the job as the New York correspondent of the Daily Express. That was the best decision I ever made.
But not a tough decision to make.
It wasn't a tough decision. The easiest decision of my life.
But it's supposed to be the hardest one. It's not the easiest
one.
Oh,
the hardest ones,
so
right.
You can't have that one.
Well, okay. Well, those two were very hard because I didn't know which way, life was going to take me.
You must have had to fire somebody.
The third one.
It was a tough decision.
Third one...
Well, apart from the fact you enjoyed firing people.
No, I didn't. I never enjoyed firing people. That was horrible. No, the third one would be... Oh, I know what it was. It was... I was due to go on a job in Japan.
Yeah.
And it was what I call a facility trip, you know what I mean? Freebie.
Yeah.
And it was to go and see the QE2, birthed in Tokyo or something like that, you know what I mean? Not the QE2, the Queen Mary.
Something like
that, you know. And go out there. And I was so excited about going to Japan, and I've been there before. And then my sister announced she was getting married.
Oh, yeah.
And my father had died just a few months before, so she wanted me to give her away.
Yeah. Right.
So... And, you know, I explained this fantastic opportunity to go to the land of the rising sun and all that. And she said, well, don't worry. And I said, no, it's my duty. I can't let you down. So I ditched the trip to Japan.
And you think that's supposed to be a hard decision?
Well, of course it's a hard decision.
Well, no, it isn't.
It's a hard decision
you
because...
freebie any time. You're one of your only two sisters getting married, and she wants you to give her away.
No,
How is that difficult?
I'll tell you why. Because there was a complete bozo who was the deputy news editor called Mike Steamson. Right?
You don't have to give his name away.
Well, he is a bozo. He was. He was.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, but he's gone back to New Zealand, where he's from. He's a New Zealander.
Well, he might be listening now.
Well, I hope he is listening, but he was in the New Zealand Navy.
Why keep upsetting people?
He was in the New Zealand Navy, so he always had this expression when he was dishing out instructions from the news there, stand by, stand by. Yeah. You know, he was saying, stand by, stand by. Right. You know, and what do you mean, stand by? Stand by, stand by.
I think I remember him.
So information coming through and all that. He was a cream-faced loon. He had ginger hair and glasses, and he made it clear that you know, being offered this great facility trip to go to Japan was an indication of the fact that your star is rising with the Express, young Parry, and you're making your mark, and this is a reward, you know, for the fact that we think you're one for the future. Yeah. So when I turned it down, he was mortally upset. Yeah. Because he was in charge of dishing out the freebies.
Yes.
And
so it was kind of a political problem.
Oh yeah. And when I went to him, I said, I can't go. He said, what do you mean you can't go? You're making me look stupid. Yeah. I said, no, I said, I can't.
Probably thought you were doing it deliberately.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I said, my sister's getting married. My father only died a few months ago. I've got to be there to give her away. He said, well, and he was really put out. He said he had to go back and say, oh, you know, Parry's turned the trip down, as though I'd sort of insulted him. Yes. You know, I don't want you to trip.
Because it was all passed out on a basis of rewarding.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. Right, so you're three.
Well, thank you very much indeed. You left me about 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, that's all you get, yeah.
Well, I'd have to say splitting up with my first wife was a very, very difficult decision to make.
Well, it was inevitable because your behaviour was so appalling.
Oh, no, it wasn't inevitable, actually, because we tried to save the marriage a couple of times, and that didn't really work out, but I never really had any intention of leaving her and leaving the kids.
Oh,
but
she
anyway,
just hoped that she just, you know, your infidelities would just be brushed under the carpet.
No, if you've never been in that situation, you can't really explain it. So thanks for leaving me so much time to do so.
Okay.
That'd be one. I would say, secondly, I guess when I was appointed acting features editor of the Daily Express, it was quite a difficult decision to make because they offered me this job. But what I didn't know was that I was going to be surrounded by complete and utter charlatans and turncoats and traitors.
Yes.
And I was leaving the job that I knew very well.
Sounds like a normal newsroom.
A very good reporter. Yeah. And suddenly I became a newspaper executive, which I thought was all about doing a good job. Yeah. But it turned out to be far more Machiavellian than that.
That's right.
But I decided to do it anyway. And finally, I'd say the hardest decision at all to make was when you asked me to join you on the mid-morning show.
That's right.
Some years ago.
Yeah.
And I had to wonder whether you would screw me over again. And I thought, I'm not sure I'm doing the right thing. But it seems to have worked out well. This is TalkSport. We are The Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on this morning, around about 6 hours from now, hopefully, if all goes well. Now, I wanted to ask you about this Massachusetts story about the bloke who's got the first penis transplant in the United States.
Well, I'm not sure I want to talk about this, to be honest. Well, I don't think it's a very savoury subject for our family.
What's the family show?
Audience. Yeah, family show.
By the way, having said that, I should probably... you just reminded me, talking of it being a family show.
Yes.
Because I had a message from somebody on Facebook who asked me to read it out. So I'm going to see if I can find it for you.
Right.
And it is indeed from Mark Taylor. Right. And he says, please could you wish my son Kieran and all fellow Year 11s at Holmfirth High School best wishes with their GCSE exams, which start this week.
Okay.
He's a big fan of the show and would make his day if he got it read out.
Where's Holmfirth?
Holmfirth, I'm not sure, actually.
Holmfirth High School?
Isn't it Yorkshire somewhere?
Holmfirth. I think there's a town called Holmfirth there, yeah. But I think there's a school called Holmfirth near me, actually.
Do you?
I think so.
Well, I can check it if you like.
Yeah, OK. But anyway, what's the young chap's name?
I've just told you.
What?
Well, I've now had to change...
No, you've forgotten it.
Well, I haven't forgotten it, but I just told you, and now I have to re-look at it again.
Yeah.
Kieran, I think.
Kieran.
Yeah, Kieran.
Well, Kieran,
and
congratulations.
all his fellow Year 11s.
Well,
funnily enough, I was in my son's school today, and they had all the gyms closed off because they were doing their GCSEs.
Right, okay.
I suppose it's that time of the year.
That time of the year, it certainly is. So, look, what I want to say is best of luck to everybody at Home Firth School.
Yeah.
And to Kieran in particular, hope you have a very, very successful bout of exams, pals, gals, guys, whatever, and that you...
There he goes. Home Firth is a small town on the A6024 in the Home Valley within the metropolitan borough of Kirklees, West Yorkshire.
There you go. Excellent.
I told you it was in Yorkshire.
Excellent information. And all I would say is that I hope it's the step one on what is going to be a successful, professional, domestic and social life.
No cheating.
No cheating.
Roy says Bram Stoker's Dracula starred Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, that's
Halloween
right.
costume.
That's right.
Rob says Porky Parry, vampire hunter.
Yeah.
He'd drive a plank through Dracula's heart.
Yeah, I would, certainly would. That Angelina Jolie, by the way, I told you about. Angelina Jolie.
Why do you keep calling her Angela?
Well, Angelina Jolie. There she is at the goddamn United Nations, and this has been broadcast live.
Is that what it's now called?
Yeah. And this has been...
You said that as if it was the official name.
Yeah, well, that's right, yeah.
The goddamn United Nations.
Yeah, and this has been broadcast live on BBC Radio 4.
I don't know why you got it in for her so much. I think she's doing a good thing.
Because I was just looking through tomorrow morning's papers to discover that one red-top tabloid decided to give a whole page over to what she said at the United Nations today.
Really?
Like it really matters.
Well, because people...
It's
that's
ridiculous.
the reason. But that's the reason celebrities do these kinds of things, because they get much more, coverage than if somebody who was a politician did it, because nobody would be interested.
I know, it's so ludicrous, she's a multi-millionaire. Her fortune with Brad Pitt, who she's married to, isn't she?
Yeah.
Or she lives with.
She is married to.
Must amount to about, 150 million quid. How can they possibly start lecturing us on, refugees, unless they've given 15 million themselves?
Well, they have given quite a lot of money, actually.
I doubt they've given 15 million.
They've also adopted a lot of refugee children, actually.
Yeah, well, they have, actually, and that's a very good thing, and that's a very
I know
positive...
that you should be so harsh on her.
Well, I'm not being harsh on her. I'm being harsh on the people who promote her as some kind of, solution to the problem, which is ridiculous.
But she's drawing attention to it, and if her speech results in a bunch of people giving money to some charity, then that can't be a bad thing, can it?
Well, I don't know,
Eamon, the Villa fan, has texted in. He says, I feel sorry for poor Trudy. Got rid of Porky only to get stalked for the next 20 years.
No, she didn't. She kept in touch. And,
she kept in touch with you?
Yeah, as my career zoomed, she sort of was aware of it.
No, was she?
That's all I would say.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Ernie says this, Porky's very safe from vampires because vampires only live on clean, pure blood, not alcohol-soaked blood.
Oh.
And John says, I can't believe that Porky's decision whether or not to break the news of the death of Princess Diana wasn't in his top 3.
Well, that wasn't a decision. That wasn't a difficult decision at all. Once I knew what I had was right, I didn't even bother ringing up the editor of the organisation, Paul Potts, editor-in-chief.
You don't have to give his name out.
No, I just decided there I was. It was 3 a.m. I had an exclusive piece of world-important information. I put it out. Diana, Princess of Wales...
Yeah, but you must have gone through some...
Has died.
But you must have gone through some, I don't know whether you had been wrestling with yourself.
Yes. No.
Because it's not something you want to get wrong, is it?
Well, I knew I was right. Because our defence correspondent was alongside Robin Cook and they were out in Manila.
Yeah.
I said, Charlie, is there any doubt on this? He said, not at all. He said, Robin Cook...
And I guess on the balance of probability of what you knew already was that she was seriously injured.
Well, everybody said she was seriously injured. She had a broken arm. She had lacerations to her thigh. Her boyfriend, Dodi Al-Fayed, was dead. He'd been killed in the car crash.
Yeah.
And I knew it was probably going to be much more serious than people were saying, because of the circumstances of the crash. The car had been written off after crashing into a concrete pillar in an underground tunnel. And so when Charlie came back to me and he said, I've just spoke to Robin Cook, the Foreign Secretary, Diana's dead. And the reason he knew was because when a member of a royal family on foreign soil dies, you don't communicate through the head of state, you communicate through your foreign secretary. So he was the first to be told by Mr. Chevènement, the Home Secretary in France. And he said, she's died. She's dead. That's it. So I knew I had absolutely...
and that's something, actually, to be serious for a minute, is something that people who don't do what we have done understand. Because, it's an enormous amount of pressure on something like that.
Yes.
But you kind of just are in automatic mode, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because you have an idea, you
absolutely.
go, right, we're going to go with this.
I said, we're putting this out.
But it wasn't 100% when you put it out. Yes, you believed it to be so.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, imagine if it hadn't been.
Well, this is the point.
You have to make those decisions.
If I'd rung up the editor-in-chief and got him out of bed at 3:30 in the morning, he'd have said no. So that's why I didn't ring him.
Yeah, right.
Because he was the head of the organisation and his reputation was on the line.
Sure.
I, on the other hand...
And it was also a very, very kind of prestigious organisation.
Of course it was.
Which doesn't get anything wrong.
Oh, it's got a worldwide reputation. You couldn't possibly get that wrong.
Because people would say, wait until you hear from PA.
That's right.
And if it's not on PA, then you're not doing it.
It's not true. That's right, yeah. And anyway, there was only one guy there who was the senior sort of backbench editor, right?
Yeah.
You know, he signed everything off before it went out.
Yeah.
Who tried to say to me, are you sure? And I said, yes, I'm absolutely sure.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we ring? No, we shouldn't ring anybody. This is going out, okay? Yeah. I'm not having any hesitation.
And that's why they hired you in many ways.
Exactly.
To be that kind of character.
Yeah, exactly. And I typed it, and I remember to this day what it said. Diana, Princess of Wales, has died, according to government sources, the Press Association have been in touch with, following the collision in Paris last night.
Yeah.
So I didn't even say she's dead. I said is believed to have died.
Right.
So that was the trigger around the world that she's dead, you know.
Right.
And
because it was PA.
Because it was PA. And
amazing that they hired you, really, in many ways. But
no, it's not. They wanted to change the organisation from being, slow and dull and plodding and methodical into something with a bit more life in it. But it was 17 minutes before Mr. Chevaunemont came to the front door of the Élysée Palace and announced officially that Diana had died.
Yeah.
That was 17 pretty long minutes.
I bet.
Everybody was telling me, if we've got this wrong, we're finished.
I know.
I said, we haven't got it wrong.
Yeah.
I was quite relieved when he did.
I'm sure you were. Absolutely right. How about this from Stephen and a few other people say Holmfirth is home to Last of the Summer Wine.
Oh, right.
And also has its own vineyard.
Oh, brilliant.
Other people saying it's near Huddersfield.
Near Huddersfield, I know where that is.
So apparently
it's a good place to go.
I guess we should have known that.
Yeah.
Here's one from Frank in Knotty Ash. He says, great show. He says, have you ever thought about writing a joint autobiography about your career experience and swashbuckling clashes in your press and radio life? I, for one, would look forward to a no doubt successful tome.
Yes, well...
I don't know where we're going to find the time to do this.
No, don't know. And I'm only going to do that when I've decided I've had enough, you know what I mean? And I haven't had enough yet, so...
But also, we could never really do a book together, could we?
No, we couldn't, no.
Because you'd be arguing with me all the time.
Well, exactly. I'd have to write two separate books and see if they coincided in some respect.
And then Chris says, we're laughing, how many Year 11 students do you think are listening at 3 a.m.? Well, Chris, the reason his dad has asked us to send them best wishes is because if they're not listening at 3 a.m., they'll be listening on the podcast later on tomorrow.
Of course they will. Can't you work that one out? You numbskull.
Yeah, well, don't need to be rude to him.
Well, I'm not being rude.
Yeah.
Right. So, now then, what was I about to say to you? I see that Gary Lineker is doing the Leicester story. Surprise, surprise, considering... That's interesting, isn't it? Because what Gary Lineker's doing is he's doing a programme celebrating Leicester's greatest moment and all that. And at the same time, he is giving up his role as the most famous footballer ever to come out of Leicester, isn't he?
He is. I suppose so. I mean,
because that's now Jamie Vardy.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, Gary Lineker's got a reputation kind of beyond a football player.
Of course
now,
he has. Yeah.
He's a very successful broadcaster. You know,
sure, but everybody knows about his roots, and you know, I mean, the fact that he does Walker's Crisp was a company based in Leicester. You know what I mean? Right. And his dad was a market trader in Leicester and all that. So he's not going to be Leicester's most famous son anymore.
Well, except he is from Leicester, which helps, I think.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I suppose you're right. But
really amazing numbers as well. 250,000 people out on the streets.
Incredible, and you know, wonderful occasion, and you can't believe it, really, can you?
Well, you can.
I remember we went to see Everton bring the FA Cup back in 1966. We just got back in time because we'd been at Wembley the day before, and it was chaos. I mean, I was only a kid at the time, you know, and it was so frightening. There were so many people around. Unbelievable.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Now, coming up, winners and losers very, very
That's
shortly.
Right.
This is TalkSport.
Yep.
Together with Mars Believe, we're getting Moose musically match fit so he can show his support for the England team this summer in France. A top singing coach has been enlisted to help him, and over the next few weeks, Moose will have to learn to sing the We Love You England chant in different styles that will put his tonal range to the test.
Absolutely. Now then, Moose's first challenge was to learn the chant in the style of rock. Head to talksport.com/drivetime to see the videos now. Listen to Drive from 4 p.m. Wednesday to find out what style the Moose will be learning this week.
That's right. Mars want you to also get involved by singing your support for England. Just post your singing selfie videos of the We Love You England chant on Twitter using the hashtag Believe. You don't have to be a good singer. It's just about showing your support for the England team. So have a go now. For terms and conditions, please see marsbar.co.uk.
It's about a guy called David Collison has died, OK?
Oh, yeah, I read about this guy.
Right.
Was he not the sort of original guy that came up with the Fab Four or something like that?
No, he didn't actually. He was a press officer for the Beatles that you're talking about, for Parlophone.
For Decca or something.
Yeah, for Decca or something like that. And I'll tell you about him later, funny enough. No, David Collison was the entrepreneur who bought Filofax for £8,750.
Oh, yeah.
A little American company. He's an English guy, this. Yeah. And made hundreds of millions out of it.
Did you have a Filofax?
Yes, I did.
I didn't. I never had one.
Yeah, I did.
My sister had one.
Yeah,
it was very much a yuppie thing, wasn't it?
It was a yuppie thing, and I had the most expensive you could buy. Because I didn't buy it; somebody sent it into the Express. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I thought I'll have that. And it was beautifully bound leather one with a proper locking, sort of lock on it. You know what I mean?
Where'd you get that from? Did you buy it?
No, somebody sent it into the Express, as I say. It was a sort of sample or something like that. And I said, I'm having that.
You snafu'd it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, absolutely. And then inside, when you pulled the rings apart, you could put hundreds of things in there.
Yeah.
Like temperature charts, diaries, weather report. So it was amazing.
Right. And you used to go and buy sort of things to put in it, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you go to Ryman's or somewhere and buy all the different bits. Insert.
It was like literally, it was like a child going into a shop where there was a model railway and all the things you could do. I mean, for instance, you could buy a ruler, because there was a plastic ruler, the same length as the
Did you actually use it every day then?
No, I never used it ever. But I just looked good.
So you never put stuff in it?
Never everything in it.
So if you ever opened it, it was empty.
It was empty. Well, no, I'll tell you what.
You didn't put your contacts in it?
No, I didn't actually, because my contacts were in a really rattle old book I had for the previous 10 years. I was going to transfer all those.
Did you not have the Rolodex in the office as well?
Yeah, I had a Rolodex. Well, my secretary had a Rolodex, yeah. But no, it just looked good. And I carried it around in my briefcase, but I never, ever opened it for any
I was actually given one,
purpose.
funny enough, when I was in Bosnia, because I got friendly, where I was staying was right on the army base.
Okay,
just outside it.
Yeah.
And it was the logistics corps, I think, that was there. And they used to deal with all sorts of, admin type stuff.
Sure.
And this guy once, as I was walking in to have a drink with him in the bar, he was offloading a whole load of stuff off the back of a lorry.
Right.
And it was all Filofaxes.
Right.
And he said, "Do you want one of these?"
Yeah.
And I went, "Yeah, okay then."
Thank you.
And he gave me the same, and I was like you. I mean, I just never used it.
No, I never used it.
I think I ended up giving it to somebody else.
No, exactly.
But it was lovely, leather bound and all that.
Yeah.
No, I just always thought they were a bit pretentious, to be honest.
Well, I suppose they were, but you've got to remember, these days, of course, we wonder what was a Filofax, because you can keep all that information in your phone, right? No problem at all.
As long as you know how to get it out.
As long as you know how to get it out.
Yeah.
But in those days, there was no such thing as a mobile phone, and there was no, well, I mean, there were, but they were so basic, they just...
Well, you could just about make a phone call.
You just about make a phone call.
If you were lucky enough to be in a part of Britain that actually had a signal.
That's right, absolutely right. And everything else went in your Filofax. People used to keep their family pictures in it and all sorts of things.
Right.
And women in particular used them very extensively.
Yeah.
Recipes in them and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. But
anyway,
anyway,
I mean, do you know, for example, you have to back up all the information on your phone. I mean, like all your contacts and various email addresses and phone numbers and all that. Do you back that up on your laptop or on your desktop computer?
My nephew's done all that for me.
But you have to keep doing it, though.
Well, I'll have to do it again next time I see him. But, I mean, he does that mostly for me. But, listen to this. What happened was... under the name of Pocket Fax, he and his wife tried to launch it in this country. The business was started with a £500 left to Leslie by her Aunt Daisy. It was all they ever invested in the business.
Right.
Eventually, made enough money in 1980, Collison bought the firm for £8,577. For that, I got the name for the stock and £17 of assets, OK?
That's it. That was all.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Amazing.
£8,517. At one time, the company was worth $100 million.
Yeah.
Before, obviously, Times caught up with it and all that kind of stuff. But, when he floated it on the stock market, it was valued at his holding was valued at £17 million. He and his wife sold a slice of their shareholding for $2 million, and a few months later, Collison was awarded the President's Medal by the Institute of Public Relations for making it such a worldwide success.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, incredible foresight to realise that suddenly something that nobody had, everybody would want.
Yes.
I mean, I would put it up alongside things like, because you said, how many millions did he end up making, this guy?
17
million, which is a pretty good haul, isn't it, for a few £1,000s of an investment?
Yeah, exactly. He spotted it on a trip to America, like a lot of people do. I think it was Mr. Majewski, or Sir John Majewski now. he was on a trip to America.
The guy from Reading.
Guy from Reading, absolutely. He was on a trip to America, and he was a sort of small-time publisher in this country, when he saw this magazine flogging cars.
Yeah.
And he came back and formed Auto Trader and made hundreds of millions of pounds. Right. I mean, it was a huge success.
Yeah.
But what is interesting here is the way it went, right? So, at the peak of Filofax's popularity in 1987, Collisham floated the company on the stock market, and it was his holdings valued at 17 million, right?
Yeah, right.
So they sold a share for 2 million, which was quite clever. A year later, the company opened a flagship showroom in Mayfair, and the shares soared from 120p each to 200p each, nearly doubling the value of the company, right? By then, though, doubts about what was essentially a one-product company were beginning to emerge. Filofax shares fell rapidly to 60p by January 1989.
Right.
In September of that year, Collisham had to declare a trading loss. He said the yuppie image has done us a lot of harm. He didn't want the yuppies to pick it up. He wanted it to be something that school children would use.
But it was always seen as a yuppie thing,
Of course it was, yeah. The yuppies had adopted it, done him a lot of harm, OK. So, let me just get this right. So he claimed the time is now gone when anything with the Filofax name on it simply walked off the display stand. It's now a very particular brand.
Right.
The shares then fell to 36p. At this point, Collisham sold his remaining shares for £2.7 million in 1990 and stepped down as chief executive. The company had grown beyond my wildest expectations, but had also outgrown personal expertise. Excuse me, I was beginning to develop strong doubts in my own ability. In 2001, Filofax was merged with Charles Letts, the diary printer.
Ah, yes.
The combined business is now owned by an American private equity group.
So you can still buy one if you want one.
You could still buy one, but it's thought they'd only be trading under their own name anymore.
You still have a proper diary, don't you? You still like the
idea
of having
a
diary.
A paper diary, to keep,
well, not just
dates.
to keep notes in and dates in, but also to mark yourself out of 10 every day.
Yes, I do.
Which is what you do.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
How did you mark yourself on Saturday?
On Saturday, I gave myself an 8.
An 8?
Yeah, it was a good day.
That's pretty good.
So I did that programme.
Is that because you worked?
Yeah, I worked. Yeah, I like working days.
So Sunday, presumably, you would have got less than 8 then.
I got about a 4 on Sunday.
4?
Yes.
That's quite low.
Well, it was because it was a day of almost total socialising and not much work.
Bladderation.
Bladderation, I think, is the right word. Yeah. And that's not a very productive day for me.
Yeah, but it's enjoyable though. I mean, you are allowed to take
I'm not
some
sure
time
it is
off.
really.
Yeah,
I'm always thinking
I had one of the most
really
relaxing weekends I've had for probably about a month.
Right, okay.
Just because we've been so busy.
Yes.
When we were doing H&J,
yes.
I wasn't really down in Sussex very much, and I was only there for maybe Saturday and Sunday.
Sure.
And having gone there Friday and come back Monday,
yes,
it was. I feel refreshed. I feel sort of like a new man.
Okay.
After all that.
Yeah, okay.
And I got to spend a lot of time with the kids, which was very nice.
And did you have a big Saturday night bladderation
session?
Not
particularly, no. No, I mean, I had a couple of bottles of wine, I would say, Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. I'm not sure I want to be drinking wine anymore. I'm starting not to like wine.
You're starting to go off it?
Yeah, I'm starting to go off it, yeah.
Well, I was all ready to kind of get into the Prosecco and the white and everything this weekend, but I've got some lovely red wine, which is still very much something you drink when the weather isn't too hot.
Yes.
And so I'm still drinking that. So you think, what are you going to drink instead then? You're going to go back to gin and tonic or something?
Maybe. I quite like a gin and tonic. I think it's very refreshing and ice chinking in the glass, in the summer and all that kind of stuff. But then that gives you a heavy head, that sort of stuff. I think I'll just stick to beer. Once I've had 2 or 3 pints of beer and I feel
you get full up
satiated, I just won't drink anymore.
Really?
Yeah, the trouble with wine...
Are you coming through some kind of a midlife crisis?
Yeah, I think I am, because the problem with the wine is it starts to congest my lungs, I've discovered. I think it does. I think
that's because you're still suffering from...
I think I am.
From the lurgy.
Yes, I think I am. But also...
you're still on the penicillin?
No, I took a full course of 21 tablets of penicillin over 6 days.
Right.
And that has got rid of the... It's got rid of the discoloration of the gunge and all that kind of stuff. So
that's too much information.
I know it is, yeah. And so I'm starting to feel better, but I still think there's a bit of recovery. But I don't like the taste of wine much anymore.
Really?
I don't like the aftertaste of wine, and I particularly don't like waking up the next day and thinking, why did I drink a couple of bottles of wine yesterday?
Yeah.
I didn't really want it and didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
So I'm thinking of giving it up.
Really?
Yes, I am, yes.
That's an extraordinary state of affairs.
Well,
I can't believe you've waited until nearly 3:30 in the morning to tell us this.
Well, because it's something I've been...
a complete change of your change of your lifestyle?
Something I've been thinking about for some time.
Really?
Yes.
Blimey.
Yes.
Extraordinary stuff.
Yes.
Quite an admission.
But when I get better, I might change my mind back, you know what I mean?
I think you will.
I might do.
I think you will.
Might do, yeah.
This is Talk Sport. Winners and losers coming next.
Okay.
Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, and it is, of course, the most controversial competition in the history of the radio station. Mr. Parry is one behind at the moment, 1.5 to 2.5. I haven't asked you if you want to go first with your losers or your winners. Yep. So which would you prefer to do?
I'll go first with the losers.
OK, then off you go.
OK, here we go. Right, I'm going to play it dead straight this week, OK, because my expansive ideas don't seem to have met the appreciation of the audience.
So you're going to go with the obvious one.
So let's try this. My first losers this week are Spurs.
OK.
And I'm afraid it has to be, because, I mean, after such a glorious season, they needed one burst of energy against Newcastle to give them hope of that second position.
Yeah.
And they completely collapsed.
Yeah.
And it's not just me saying this. Their own manager, Mr. Pochettino, said it was my worst day in football management.
Yeah.
That's how badly the Spurs players performed.
Well, you know, I did say that after what happened at Chelsea, they'd kind of lost the plot and they might not get it back.
Yeah, in a crucial situation. So Spurs are my first losers.
Okay.
My second loser is Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
I don't know what's got into his head this season, but the first time he gets himself a clear pole position and should have gone for the first bend, he lost it. He didn't accelerate fast enough. And then, in trying to regain it, he went for a gap which other experts, including some of the people on his own team, said wasn't there. You know, he shouldn't have gone for it because he'd been closed down by Nicky Rosberg, who quotes, closed the door. He should never have gone through. He caused them both to spin out of the race and then afterwards was criticised by a lot of very senior Formula 1 people, including Nicky Lauda, OK? And my third loser is Christopher Reid. Not Superman, but the man who is in fact the head of security search management.
Christopher Reid isn't Superman anyway, is he?
No.
Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeve, Christopher Reeve, but you know what I mean. Very similar, similar. Christopher Reid is the head of security search management, the company that left the fatal phone in Old Trafford, which wasn't discovered until 20 minutes before the game against Watford, leading to the whole game being called off. So I nominate my three as Spurs for a pathetic performance, and Lewis Hamilton for making a hopeless decision which put him and Nicky Rosberg out of the race, and Christopher Reid, the man who caused the blunder at Old Trafford.
Yeah, well, I must say, they are all very big losers of the weekend, and certainly I don't think many people would argue with any of those.
Exactly.
But they are a little bit obvious, as you might have said. It
doesn't matter, they're straightforward.
Some time ago. My first loser of the weekend, and I would have had Spurs, I have to say, but I'm going to make it Theo Walcott after the announcement today that Roy Hodgson is now saying, basically, more or less, his England career is over. Because if he's not going to go to the Euros this time, he's never going to go to another tournament. And you'd have to say that poor old Theo Walcott has had a miserable time of it in any tournament that he's ever been to. You know, dating back to the first one that Sven took him to. It's just never really worked out for him. And you have to feel a bit sorry for him. And I think he's the big loser in the England squad pickup. Jordan Spieth is my second loser of the weekend.
Right.
Because you might remember his terrible collapse at the Masters. Where, again, I said, you know, this is a thing that can affect this guy for a long time because he's so used to winning. And, you know, he missed the cut at the Players' Championship at the weekend down in Florida. And he says that, you know, he doesn't really know what to do. He's going to try and start smiling a bit more. He's going to try and start enjoying his life a bit more. But he really hasn't actually done anything since the Masters. And he's saying that, you know, it's very unusual for him to feel that this year he's going to be performing worse than he did last year. So I think Jordan Spieth's got a long way to come back. So he is that man. And I'm going to say not Lewis Hamilton, but Mercedes is the big loser of the weekend. Because I don't think they've managed to get on top of the whole, you know, Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg feud. It's still going on. It's still spinning out of control. And as a result of that, because there's lots of people who will also tell you that Rosberg was as much at fault as Hamilton was, because apparently Hamilton saw that his engine was not working properly and he was somehow firing the wrong way and he looked like he had a chance of speeding past him. And Rosberg shouldn't have been so aggressive in pulling across and blocking
closing the door.
And in the end, you know, it's their feud, which is all to do with Mercedes and the way they haven't managed them well that has caused the problem. So we're sort of in agreement on that one. So my three are Jordan Spieth, Theo Walcott and Mercedes. Let's do the winners.
Everyone's a winner, baby. That's no lie. That's no lie. You never fail to satisfy.
now I'm going to go for the winners first, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm going to stick with the Grand Prix because you have to have Max Verstappen in there as the youngest ever winner of a Grand Prix. Incredible to believe that this time last year he couldn't even drive a car.
That's right.
On the road.
Didn't have a licence.
And he didn't have a licence. People had to drive him to his place of work. He's now got a licence.
Yes.
And he's obviously Dutch. And he's half Dutch and half Belgian, I think.
Yes.
His dad was a driver. And in fact, he's half the age of Kimi Raikkonen, who's still in the race.
That's right.
He used to race against his old man.
Absolutely.
So an incredible victory for him, and also a great decision by Red Bull to put him in the number one car.
Yep.
So that's obviously paid off terribly well. My second winner is something that we don't mention very often, and it's rugby, because Saracens are now the proud owners of the Champions Cup.
Yes.
They went over to Lyon and beat Racing by 21 points to 9, crushed them basically.
Yep.
Didn't score too many tries, didn't score any tries in fact, but lots and lots of very, very well-known England players now playing for Saracens. Owen Farrell kicked 7 penalties, and Itoji plays for them as well. So it's a fantastic sort of operation for Saracens, and we don't give a mention very often. And my final winner has to be, and it was between, I would say, Marcus Rashford getting picked, but I'm not going to do him. I'm going to say the city of Leicester, not Leicester City, but the city of Leicester, who had a fantastic celebration yesterday. 250,000 people turning out, the definition of a one-team town, where basically, apart from now, because we've got lots of people from around the world supporting Leicester City, they're basically very much a homegrown support and a very homegrown club, and I think it's delightful to see. So those are my 3 winners. So it's Saracens, Max Verstappen, and the Leicester City population.
Okay, well, again, we've got similar thoughts on this one, because I totally agree with you about Verstappen. I'd have had him, but I think the guy who made it work is Christian Horner, who is Red Bull's principal. He's the team principal. He chose to drop the former Russian driver who'd been causing all sorts of problems, running the back
and not
of
doing very well.
Cars, not doing very well, and install Max Verstappen. The whole of the Formula One motor industry said, "You're mad. This kid is good, but I mean, it's the responsibility at that age, too young." And what did he do? Took advantage of the mess up on the Mercedes team and got through. So Christian Horner deserves terrific praise for that. Okay.
Yeah.
My second winner of the week is a guy called Moses. Moses is a Manchester United fan who came from Sierra Leone for the Manchester United-Watford game.
Yes.
The first time he's ever been
Manchester United-Bournemouth game.
Manchester United-Bournemouth game. The first time he's ever been to this country to see a football match for his beloved Manchester United, who, of course, then found that he wasn't watching a game because it was abandoned for all the reasons we know about.
Sure.
However, a group of United fans have got together and paid for his hotel for 2 nights so he can stay, paid for his extended flight so he can get a flight home, and he will see the game tomorrow night.
Yeah.
That's a big winner.
Is he not going to be kept on for the cup final as well? Did they not give him a cup final ticket?
I think there are plans, if they can get him a cup final ticket, to have him stay here until Saturday as well to watch the cup final.
Yeah.
And the third winner, and this has got to be the winner for me, unless Roy Hodgson gets in the way, it's got to be Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
To make the England squad, even the preliminary squad, at the age of 18, and I just hope now he has 2 outstanding games, both tomorrow night and in the cup final, so that Roy Hodgson has got to include him in the England squad to go to the championships. At 18, he's a huge success. He's a boy who's taken his opportunity and made it work. I think he's one of the big winners of the week. So I will just sum up and tell you. It's Marcus Rashford, the 18-year-old United forward. It's Moses, the poor fan who came all this way from Africa. First time he'd ever travelled out of his own country.
2 Manchester United-related winners.
It doesn't matter. Moses, the United was a huge story over the weekend for obvious reasons. And Christian Horner, Red Bull team principal, who made the very brave and bold decision to promote youngest ever Formula One winner, Max Verstappen.
Yeah. It's a very interesting tactic you've employed this week, actually using common sense and decent choices, which I would very much commend you for.
Yes, exactly.
There's nothing crazy in there.
No, nothing crazy at all.
You didn't get anything particularly wrong either.
No.
Extraordinary. Well, I've just pinned the tweet to the top of the 2 Mikes Twitter account, at the 2 Mikes.
Excellent.
You can go and vote there now.
Yes.
You can either vote for myself or Mr. Parry. The voting will be open till midnight tonight, at which point the votes will be counted and a declaration will be made.
Yes.
We'll read out some of your tweets on the initial reaction to winners and losers coming up next on TalkSport.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, and then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
Do you like that?
I do like this, yeah.
That's Jimmy Ruffin, isn't it?
Isn't it Otis Redding?
Otis Redding.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Not really the same thing.
No, I think they both made a version of it.
Did they?
I think so, yeah, yeah.
Well, I know Otis Redding's version. Yeah, great song.
Yeah, sitting on the dock of the bay. That's, now, that's Jamaica, I think, isn't it?
Well, no, I think he's talking about a place down in the south of the United States, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah.
Sitting on the dock of the bay. I thought it was Jamaica. But anyway, the
point
of the story is, the reason why I played that is we were looking for somebody to represent an island state where you can sit on the dock of the bay and look out over the sea.
Yeah.
Do you know who psychologically are the healthiest people in the world?
Who?
Hawaiians.
Really?
And that's because they have such a fantastic combination of a lush green island to live on.
They've got a lot of volcanoes there, though.
Yeah, a lot of volcanoes.
That must be a bit worrying.
Well, they don't erupt very often. They've got a lush green island to live on, but they've also got massive expanses of blue sea to look out on.
Oh, yeah.
And if you get the view of a blue sea, then psychologically you're in great shape.
I think there's some truth to that because I have to say, and you'll probably attest to this.
Yes.
When you go down to Gosport
Absolutely.
and you walk around and look at the sea.
Absolutely.
When I took the dog down to the beach the weekend on Saturday, I think it was.
Yes.
And the tide was out. And it was, so the pebbled beach was going down to a certain point, and then it was sand.
That's right.
And it was just gorgeous.
Yeah,
the sun was shining, and it's very good for the soul.
Well, when I'm on my balcony of the penthouse down in Gosport, right, looking over Portsmouth Harbour, and it's one of those beautiful days when the sea or the water in the harbour, because it's not seawater, is it? Is literally twinkling at you from a million different sort of sun rays and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful. I go for a walk along the Solent and I see the waves crashing in on the Pebble Beach or something like that. It's but the biggest thing is when I drive down there, particularly if it's daytime. The minute I come round a bend at the end of the A3M and see for the first time the sea, if you see what I mean, it lifts your heart.
It does.
It lifts your heart.
No question.
And I think, wow.
No question. It doesn't matter how rough it is.
No.
It doesn't matter how calm it is.
That's right.
It doesn't matter how sunny it is.
That's right.
I mean, it is better when it's not absolutely tipping it down with horizontal rain.
Yes.
But nevertheless.
Absolutely right. The other great place is Wellington, New Zealand.
Yeah.
That is very similar in the sense that, you've got a huge expanse of water in front of you and behind you you've got lush green forests and all that kind of stuff.
But don't you think if you were living in Hawaii...
that
the volcanoes would worry you slightly?
No, because you'd hear them erupting and then get out, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, you
before
say
the
that.
lava came running into your garden.
You say that, but
yeah,
I mean, it's
of course
not,
you would.
I mean, if you've got an active volcano, within
they're not
sort
active, are they?
Yeah, of course they are.
Well, when do they last erupt?
Well, they haven't. I don't think anything in Hawaii has erupted for quite a few years.
That's what I'm saying. You've got more chance of getting burnt to a cinder at Mount Etna.
Well, Mount
Etna is in Spain, isn't it?
Well, Mount Etna is in Italy.
Italy, that's right. Yeah.
No, the point about active volcanoes is you never know when they're going to erupt.
Yeah, but you hear them.
Have you ever seen an active volcano?
Well, of course I've never seen an active volcano. There aren't any volcanoes in this country.
Well, yeah, I know, but you've travelled widely, haven't you?
Have you seen one?
Yeah, I have. I walked Vesuvius in Naples.
Well, that's not active.
It's in the Bay of Naples. It is active.
Yeah, it's not really active.
Yes, it is really
active.
active.
You see any lava running down from the top?
No, but I went up
I
went up to the peak of the summit of the volcano, and you can look in, and it's smoking. Okay,
did it
feel
is
smoking?
Hot?
It was very hot,
right?
And all around is ash because it erupts every so often, and it hasn't had anything as obviously terrible as when Pompeii got buried.
No, exactly.
During the Roman times. However, all the vegetation is blackened.
Yes.
It erupts on a fairly regular basis in small ways.
Right.
And you can smell the sulphur.
I'll tell you something.
Amazing.
That's interesting. I'll tell you something quite interesting. I was in St. Lucia once.
Oh, yeah.
And for some unknown reason, I decided to go and have a look at this botanical garden.
No.
Because I thought, some exotic Caribbean
plants. You can't
plants.
just drink the whole time you're there, can you?
Well, that's true. That's true. That's true. So anyway, I go there, and there's a guide fella there who, oh, Mr. Parry, I will take you around.
Was he?
No. And he said to give me a personal tour. Anyway, we got to one place where I was going to walk over this ridge to like a clump of trees, which looked very interesting. He said, "Oh no, don't go there." I said, "Oh, what's that?" He said, "That's an active volcano."
Right.
I said, "What do you mean?"
Well, a clump of trees.
No, the ridge that you were to walk
okay.
over. He said, "That's just the crust."
Because they've got the Grand Pitons, haven't they? Those two.
Oh
mountains.
yeah, they're huge mountains. Yeah, they're not volcanoes, by the way.
But were they not once volcanic?
No, they're not. No, they're just mountains.
Okay.
But anyway, the point of my story is, he said that is an active volcano, believe it or not. He said that's why the ground around here is so lush,
Right.
And I said, oh, it's good you warned me. I said, shouldn't there be a sign there? He said, well, there is, and people steal it.
Active volcanoes, stay away.
Well, yeah. And I said, how do you know it's active? He said, my father's friend had a very bad experience. I said, oh, what happened? He said, well, he went to walk over it. He said he fell straight through it, and he's lost both his legs.
Blimey.
I said, what do you mean? He said, the lava. He said he fell in as far as his waist and it took both his legs off. But he was all right after that.
Still hot.
No, it was boiling. It was. You know,
it doesn't sound like a very smart thing to do.
No, well, nobody knew it was there then. You know, so.
But I just think it's a bit like living in LA.
Yeah.
When you know there's going to be a massive earthquake at some point.
Yes.
You know, maybe 100 years from now, maybe 10 years from now, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
You don't really know.
Well.
And I think if you live within the bounds of an active volcano, then I don't think you could be intrinsically happy.
I'm not sure of that. Anyway, look, it says here, this is one of my journals, previous studies have established that bodies of water and large patches of green space promote physical or social activity, and that being close to nature can reduce stress. There is also abundant research into the link between living near the coast and vastly improved mental health.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, well, I'm sure
that's good.
I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that, you know, any access to that kind of nature is a wonderful thing.
Well, it says it here. Green and blue spaces are recognised as therapeutic places and may lower psychological distress by serving as calming backdrops in residential neighbourhoods.
I don't think there's any doubt that when we lived in New York City, and it's slightly less mad now than it was then in the 80s.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you used to live like 7 days a week, unless you were flying away somewhere in Manhattan, it drives you mad.
Yeah,
I mean, you become like a crazed sort of beast.
You get like cabin fever.
Whereas, you know, we go out to the countryside and you sit in a chair and you watch the birds and listen to the wind rustling through the trees. It's very relaxing. I mean, that's what I did this weekend.
Yeah, is
Found it very therapeutic.
Very good. It says here a study has absolutely confirmed that a study of US mental health studies has confirmed that Hawaii, surrounded by the Pacific Ocean and full of lush green vegetation, is statistically the happiest, healthiest state in America.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me.
How about that?
That does not surprise
Rhode Island's
me.
a bit like that,
There's
isn't
quite a lot of crime in Hawaii, though, as well, isn't there? It's quite a crime-ridden place.
I don't know. I've never been there.
No, I've never been there either.
No.
I'm told it's beautiful, but there is quite a lot of crime.
Yeah, but it is very commercial these days, isn't it?
It is, but again, like a lot of these places, there's one part for the tourists, but the inner city areas are not quite so nice.
Yes, that's right. Now, it says here, the authors of the report conceded that further research was necessary, including to establish whether large freshwater lakes or rivers have the same beneficial effect as saltwater.
I think not.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I mean, there's something nice about lakes, but there's something weird about swimming in lakes. I'm never very keen on swimming in lakes.
See, this is interesting, what you've just said about smells and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. It says, if not, the health improvement may relate not only to the visibility of the ocean, right, but other sensory stimuli related to the ocean, including the sound of waves rolling onto the shore and the smell of air passing over the ocean. It's a very distinct smell when I'm down in Gosport.
The salty air.
It's salty air, brine, seaweed, all that kind of stuff. You can smell it in the air. Yeah. Every time I walk out of my apartment, I think, wow, I'm on the coast.
And also, if you ever stayed anywhere, and I did when I was in Turkey, we had this beautiful kind of room overlooking the sea, and you could hear, sit out on the balcony and hear the waves crashing in.
Yes, that's right.
Very, very relaxing.
Oh, indeed. Wonderful. I mean, if I got completely bladderated one time, right, and then...
Extraordinary thought.
And then went to bed, woke up in a darkened room, and didn't know whether I was in... my place on the coast or whether I was in Surrey, what I'd do is I'd tie a blindfold round my face, right? And then...
that doesn't sound like a very good idea.
No. Then I'd go downstairs, walk out the front door, and just by smelling the air, I would know where I was.
Why don't you just look out the window?
Well, no, I wouldn't. I'd give myself a mental challenge. You know what I mean? No, I would.
I don't think that's very wise.
No, of course it is.
I don't think you should ever blindfold yourself.
No, definitely.
I don't think you should. Kevin says this, I'm shocked to hear Porky's thoughts on wine. His sickness has clouded his judgment. I hope he returns to full bladderisation.
Well.
And Becky says something more shocking than the penis replacement, Porky giving up wine and drinking.
Well, I might do.
People are very, very...
concerned.
Very concerned about you.
Well,
anyway, the show's nearly over, believe it or not.
Yeah, I know it is, yeah.
Do go and vote on winners and losers. It's at the two mics. So you can find the voting process there. It's pinned to the top of the Twitter account. This is TalkSport.
Anyone who ever loved could look at me and know that I love you. Anyone who ever dreamed could look at me and know I dream of you, knowing I love you so.
Isn't that song Cilla Black did?
Yeah, now that's Anyone Who Had a Heart, right? But the Cannes Film Festival's going on at the moment.
The Cannes Film Festival?
Yeah, Cannes Film Festival. And Dionne Warwick's over there, right?
Is she?
And
is she in a new movie or something?
No, she's got a new memoir out, a sort of an update of her biography. You know what I mean?
Right.
And in it, she calls Cilla Black her nemesis and says that she's been stealing music from her.
Really?
I mean, obviously, Cilla Black, the late great Cilla Black, God rest in peace, is not around to defend herself. But
she had a big hit with that song, didn't she?
Oh yeah. She says she stole my music from 1962. When I first met that woman, there was a confrontation. She stole my songs, and I was not very happy camper about that. Over the years, of course, we both grew up, we understood each other, and we laughed about what we had decided was a big deal at the time. But Cilla Black recorded that after Dionne Warwick had recorded it. It got to number 2 in this country, Cilla Black's version. Dionne Warwick's didn't get to up higher than 11.
Really?
But Dionne Warwick's did better in America, of course,
you would have
she's
so.
American.
Well, you would imagine that Cilla Black didn't do that well in America, did she? I mean, she would have got a bit of a boost from the old sort of Liverpool sound and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
She wasn't a massive star outside of Britain, was she?
No, she wasn't. No, in fact, if you looked at the biopic that Sheridan Smith played in, she actually came back from America after failing to crack it after about 3 weeks or something, or 4 weeks, or a couple of months or something like that. Yeah.
But I mean, it wouldn't have been her decision to steal the song, if that's the phrase that's being used.
No.
Presumably, it would have been her, management people.
Yeah, it was.
Or a record company.
Well, the song was written by Burt Bacharach.
Yeah.
One of his great records. He wrote like dozens of fantastic songs.
Yeah.
That I didn't realise also that one of the songs that Cilla Black is most famous for, Alfie.
Yeah.
What's it all about?
Yeah.
Alfie.
Was that not written for the movie?
Well, the strange thing is, it claims here that Bacharach wrote that as well for Dionne Warwick.
Oh, okay.
But somebody in this country heard it and nicked it for the theme song for Alfie. So that was another one that she competed with Dionne Warwick for. And again, she was very successful in this country. That got to number 2 as well, apparently. But Dionne Warwick's version didn't get anywhere.
Well,
in fact, it only reached number 15 in America. In America.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, that's quite a coincidence that somebody would write a song called Alfie and then they'd have a movie called Alfie, and then it would sort of fit with the whole thing.
Yeah, well, that's right, yeah.
Very unusual.
That is indeed.
Now, do you want to know how the voting's going?
Yes, please.
It's going 60-40 in your favour at the moment.
Really? Is that right?
103 votes. Guys, a lot of people saying that you may have come up with your best winners and losers ever.
Oh, well, that could be.
Lee says, well done, Porky. Brilliant winners and losers.
Yes.
You got my vote this week. Better luck next time, MG.
Thank you.
Frankly says, MG's spot on. Hawaii's poverty-stricken and its isolation creates exorbitant prices on goods for locals.
Is that right?
And here's one from Man City Army. I think that might have been Porky's best winners and losers ever.
Oh, that's very kind of him.
I think he should see through his plans to give up wine.
Well, yes, absolutely, yeah.
Darren, however, makes a correction. Helmut Marko made the decision to promote Verstappen. Christian Horner's boss, but still liking Porky's losers. And Becky says, great effort this week from both of you. Porky upped his game and his winners clinch my vote.
Right.
Hashtag Moses.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And then Steve says, got to vote for MG tonight. Anyone who says Saracens are winners gets my vote.
Yeah.
So it could be quite evenly poised.
Well, I was going to accuse you of stealing that one, Saracens, because that tweet that you've just read out came in earlier.
What?
We were tweeted, both of us, by a fan who said Saracens after win. And I saw Saracens win it, and they were on my list anyway. Yeah. Because I thought, well, that's incredible.
Well,
they've won the rugby equivalent of the European Cup.
I would imagine our lists were very similar.
Champions
I mean,
League.
I'll tell you, because what we have to do, obviously, occasionally, because we don't want to have the same ones, is have other. I mean, I actually had Martin Lipton down as a loser. For being threatened with violence by you. But I thought, since nothing ever came of it, then he couldn't really be one.
Yeah, exactly.
I had Spurs, but I had Brighton as a suggestion.
Yes.
I had Christopher Reid as well, but I left that one alone.
I
also had Barcelona as a winner because they won the La Liga title this weekend.
Yes.
Although, did you see that where they celebrated on the pitch, and they were in Granada, I think it was, and they suddenly didn't realise as they were celebrating that there was a rather large crowd invading the pitch.
Yeah, that's right.
Very hostile fans.
Yeah, we're going to get them
from Granada because they possibly are going to get relegated as a result of that win.
Exactly.
So I mean, I had Marcus Rashford as well.
Yep.
But I just thought Saracens was a bit different, really.
Yeah. No.
I can assure you, it wasn't done on the basis of somebody saying, if you put the Saracens down, I'll vote for you. It's one vote. A couple of thousand people voting this.
Okay, if you say so.
It's true. I do say so.
Right.
Now, so tomorrow night it's Ask Porky, of course. We'll be putting out some tweets to that effect, and also there'll be something on our Facebook page.
Indeed.
If you want to find out what the quiz is, we'll have to decide in the next couple of days, I suppose, what the Porky quiz is going to be on.
Yep.
Coming up on Thursday, Porky Vision on Wednesday.
Yes.
And we'll keep the listography going. So if you've got any listography ideas, just hashtag
send them in.
listography.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what time of the day or night you do it.
Exactly.
And we will always be able to have a good look at them.
Indeed we will.
There's quite a few there that we still haven't done, actually.
No, exactly. That's fine. We get round to it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's good.
It is good. good. And I think in some ways we're paying homage to the newspaper that didn't live longer than 9 weeks.
Well, that's right. Yeah. And a remarkable piece by the deputy editor tonight saying how brilliant it all was.
Yes.
Well, look, I don't want to knock another journo, but it wasn't all brilliant. That's why it's closed down after 9 weeks, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't mind you sticking up for your product. You've got to be loyal to it, but you were badly led.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And that's very true. Darren says, surely in honour of Porky, the song should be called Anyone Who Had a Third of a Heart.
Yeah, well, that's very true. It's very true.
Which is quite good, isn't it?
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Okay. And a couple of people pointing out that the Otis Redding song Sitting on the Dock of the Bay was all about San Francisco. Apparently it was in Sausalito, which is a lovely view, of course, of the San Francisco
Sausalito's the other
Bay.
side of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
I've been there.
That's what he
had
was
lunch there.
Well, that's what you should know. That's what he was writing about.
Exactly, yeah.
Well done. Don't forget to follow the Two Mics at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV.
Do you know what Chicago's named after?
What's it named after?
Chicago. I went into Asda to get a clothes horse. Well, do you know there isn't a Dracula on the world now?
They've got that big arch, haven't they?
Yes, that's right, yes.
Which I think is in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah. Is that the McDonald's arch?
No.
The other issue, which may sound ridiculous, is that Jose Mourinho does not go to Manchester United. Then I would like Mr. Mashiri, with his billions of pounds...
No, it does sound ridiculous. Let him finish the sentence at least.
Yeah, Martin, you can laugh as much as you like, mate.
Oh, no, I often do.
Yeah, you often do, yeah. And sometimes I feel like coming over and punching your face in because of your, because of your smug, I know everything attitude, which gets on my nerves, right?
Excellent.
So what I'm saying...
This is why you only sacked me once.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah, well, I'm not averse to picking up the phone to the bosses at Talk Sport, okay?
I'm organised. My life is organised.
No, you just go to the pub and have a pint of beer.
Well, I wouldn't actually. If it was a hot day like that, I'd have a pint of lager and lime.
I mean, I have feelings.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've never seen them.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go. Right, okay, well, on that note. Right, okay.